Yo, it's Big Rhino, owner of Ziggy's Mac. You know what I'm saying? Put it down for my boy, Put It in the Air podcast, all the smoke.
Hey,
yo, what's up? Put It in the Air podcast. Ziggy Smoke Shop. I'm really popping right there. Make sure y'all like this, man. Shout out to my boy Big A and that Put It in the Air podcast, man. Shit's on fire. Smoke something, get some information, learn something about yourself.
I woke up like time ticking on my line, phone being blowing like a bagpipe, spin everything that I had, take it back right. Bodies in the home, everybody getting fat right. I keep it running, play me, I'm gunning. I'm about fun and the funk and it's nothing. You wanna talk, ain't no time for discussion. My hustle is nasty, I write disgusting. You get the trash, no I don't want it. I get it lanes and no I don't front it. Fuck all the statues, we nutty like cashews. Watch them out before we getting at you, period. I'm from a place where we kill shit, not over games, over real shit. Cut off your fingers, you steal shit. We about to catch who the fuck is you dealing with? Who raised you? With all the silly shit, team no sleep.
the indigent, my status king. Fuck a president, and my cannot be your residence. You act like a peasant, bitch. Running around telling shit. I'm in my paperwork. I'm just connecting shit. I am not interested in who you're laying with. Big to the chips. What's up with it? It's your boy Big 8, man. Put It in the Air podcast coming to get live stream, late night vibe shit. You know what it is. Shouts out to everybody tuning into the channel. Appreciate the love, but you know where we at. Y'all feel me? It's late night vibe time, you feel me? And we finna get into something real spicy today. Real spicy. So I was, flicking and clicking through stuff, you know what I'm saying? Just navigating the informational highway, you know what I'm saying, online. And man, I ran across this Jewish man having a conversation about the origin of Jews, the possibilities of Jews being in different places, different sections of Jews. Like he was just having a real conversation about the whole Jewish community culture situation and the way that it differs. The way that the people got split up, different people got sent different directions. Like he was just really chopping it up and expounding on a lot of the stuff that we have no clue about. And that was the important thing to me, is to get the information, get it to where we can get it on the podcast and relay this information to the listeners. You know what I'm saying? We're going to give it a few more minutes, let a few more people follow up in here. If they don't, we'll get kicking probably at about 10 minutes. We're at about 3:45. At about 10 minutes, we'll go ahead and get it kicking with the information, do the ritual, and get to it. You know what I'm saying? Other than that, man, we got the birthday bash, the Big 8 birthday bash, November 27th. Make sure y'all come check that out. It'll be at Ziggy's Smoke Shop and Dispensary off Southwest 59th and Western in Oklahoma City. So come holler at us. We got chicken wings food truck coming out. We got Alley Cat processing coming out. We're going to have Put It in the Air gear out there. We got Pressure Boys Car Club pulling up. It's going to be a hell of an event, man. And also, if you bring a donation, we got different wristbands for, people that pay the entry and people that pay for the, that actually make a donation. You make a donation, you get 10% off in the store, and you also get 10% off at the food truck. So make sure y'all come out ready to support, ready to show some love. We got D-Lo performing. We got Pineapple Stroh performing. We got Jump the God performing, and your boy Big 8 performing. We're going to have a hell of a time, man. It starts at 7 p.m., and it goes all the way until midnight. You know what I'm saying? I'm cutting the event short because I know people got to go to work, shit like that. We're going to make the event end pretty early so everybody can get in, have a good time, have a blast. It's going to be like boom, 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 boom. Before you know it, the little 5 hours is going to be over with. But in that little 5 hours, we're going to have a blast. So shout out to all the supporters. Shout out to all the people who done already hit the event, said that they coming. Even those who said they interested. As long as you're interested and it's on your mind, I ain't tripping. we're gonna have fun either way. It's really just a birthday party. You know what I'm saying? We just happen to sprinkle a little extra on the birthday party. We're gonna make it crazy. You know what I'm saying? That's the whole point of that. So shouts out to everybody who's supporting that. I appreciate the love. Oklahoma City, stand up. Put it in the air podcast. Our first big event. Hopefully I'll be able to do these events maybe like once a month or once every 2 months. We're gonna have a different type of scheduling for next year. But next year, I want to get everything set up to where we got events happening regularly, to where people can interact and we can attend. I want to do some live open forum, late night vibes. Like we got 100 chairs and we have 100 people sit in and people raise their hand. We do a live stream, have a full-fledged show. It's a bunch of stuff I got planned for next year. So just stay rocking with me. Just know it's coming. The end of the year, I ain't gonna lie, I'm really trying to slow down to prepare for next year, but it just hasn't been like that. It's been like one thing after another. So right after November 27th, we got December 7th to be announced. And then we got December 11th, which is Call Fest. I think it's Tulsa. I'm not sure. I got to get more details. But as I get details, I'll be relaying those details to y'all too. So just bear with your boy. You feel me? Oh, yeah, man, we got that All the Smoke girl popping, man. Yeah, all the smoke. You know what I'm saying? Shouts out to Leverage Clothing, man, for putting the stitchings together, man. But we got the All the Smoke outfits. We got the long shirts. We got short sleeve shirts. We got bags. We got face masks. The beanies is coming. I might even do socks. You never know. I might get excited and do socks. Fuck it. We just go all the smoke all the way out. You feel me? But the winter line of clothes is particularly gonna be all the smoke. I'm gonna do some put it in the air stuff for the winter, but the bulk of it is gonna be all the smoke. That's kind of the winter push for put it in the air podcast, and then you back door with the, you know what I'm saying, with the put it in the air stuff. Excuse me. But definitely, like I said, I got the email at the bottom. We also got to Put It in the Air magazine dropping December 1st. Today is Tuesday. So by Friday, I will have the first edition of Put It in the Air magazine available on the channel. So be on the lookout for that. It's pretty much going to be a digital flip book. And I'm going to leave the pages available to be read for a certain duration of time. But it'll open up like a book. You know, it'll be your cover, then it'll open up like a book and just continue to open up like a book until, you know what I'm saying, the last page. But I'm going to have that ready for y'all. I'm going to be working on part 2, and then part 3, of course, will be dropping December 1st. Which will have, you know what I'm saying, stuff from events that we done been to, events that's coming up. If you need advertising for your business or your brand, you can hit me up at the email at the bottom, and then we'll get that shit popping too. So just let me know what y'all need, and I'll compensate straight like that. But we at 9:16, and I'm feeling like, matter of fact, let's hit this intro one more time, and then we finna get into this ritual.
Yo, this big Rhino, owner of Ziggy's Mac. You know what I'm saying? Put it down for my boy, Put It in the Air podcast, all the smoke. Hey,
yo, what's up? Put It in the Air podcast. Ziggy Smoke Shop. I'm really popping right there. Make sure y'all do like Mason, man. Shout out to my boy Gay Gay and that Put It in the Air podcast, man. Shit's on fire. Smoke something, get some information, learn something about yourself.
Another EME production. My money cow, my money cow.
My money talk, it ain't my fault. Look at my nigga just signing that gloss. I get in the game, ain't nothing gon' ball. Me and my dog, me and my dog. My few beans in a purple set, now your girlfriend climbing on top of the wall. I'm a young star, I ain't talking about mob. Put that on God, put that on God. But the head was so far, had to throw the little homie alive. Body shots and head shots.
Yo, this big Rhino, owner of Ziggy's Mac. You know what I'm saying? Put it down for my boy, put it in the air podcast, all the strong. Hey. Yo, this big Rhino, owner of Ziggy's Mac. You know what I'm saying? Put it down for my boy, put it in the air podcast, all the strong. Hey.
Put it in the air podcast. Ziggy Smoke Shop. I'm really popping right there. Make sure y'all do like Mason, man. Shout out to my boy Day Day. And that Put It in the Air podcast, man. Shit's on fire. Smoke something, get some information, learn something about yourself.
I woke up like time ticking on my line phone, been blowing like a bagpipe. Spend everything that I had, take it back right. Bodies in the home, everybody getting fat right. I keep it running, pay me, I'm gunning. I'm about fun and the funk is nothing. You wanna talk, ain't no time for discussion. My hustle is nasty, I write disgusting. You get the trap, no I don't want it. I get it lanes and no I don't front it. Fuck all the statues, we nutty like cashews. Watch them out before we getting at you, period. I'm from a place where we kill shit, not over games, over real shit. Cut off your fingers, you steal shit. We about to catch who the fuck is you dealing with? Who raised you? With all the silly shit, team no sleep.
All right. We back, man. We finna kick this ritual off. Let's get into it. Straight like that. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's go. Oh yeah. We got that motherfucking green apple smoking today. Green apple. We finna see what this green apple do. You know what I'm talking about? Cause I'm on that green apple. So as I said earlier, since we finna kick this magical thing off that we call late night vibes. So as I was saying earlier, you got a Jewish guy who was giving a speech to a group of Jewish people. And he was going through history and how some things connect to each other in history and how there are possibilities that things could be factual information. You know what I'm saying? Which would make them non-anti-Semitic. Anti-Semitic is the most is the biggest topic of right now because anti-Semitic, well, I guess there were laws or rules or whatever put into place after the Holocaust that made it to where Jews are protected under different type of jurisdiction when it comes to how you speak about them and how you talk about them in public. You know what I'm saying? And I guess that's what anti-Semitic boils down to, because when I was listening to people talk about anti-Semitic, there is your Webster's dictionary of anti-Semitic, but then you also have your cultural meaning of anti-Semitic, and that's pretty much to where anything that you say that could be considered negative or damaging to the Jews is considered anti-Semitic, which is that's a broad open law. Like that's some shit that don't it's not too specific, so it almost means anything. You know what I'm saying? So you could almost be anti-Semitic just by saying or giving your opinion on something about the Jews. It almost gives them relief against any kind of comment. That's nothing you can do to them. Like, so with that being said, it started to make sense when they say that Kanye was thinking about something anti-Semitic or saying something anti-Semitic just because he wasn't agreeing with them. But at the same time, he wasn't damning them at all. So it's just kind of odd the way that they did the shit with Kyrie. Kanye kind of blatantly, he kind of put the fire to the torch with the whole thing by saying what he was saying. What's up, Sweet D? Yeah. That whole way that people had, where if you say that shit in the wrong context, you are immediately red flagged. But like I was saying, I got this dude. He's giving a conversation talking about anti-Semitism a little bit, but then even more than that, he's talking about the comparison between Jewish people and what could possibly be considered a Jewish person or a Jewish descent or something like that. Let me find it right quick. Let me see. I need to relight this. This motherfucker that went out with me talking this shit. What up, Sweet D? Appreciate you stopping through fucking with your boy, man. Let me see. Go to favorites. How you get to favorites? All right, y'all. Now I gotta find the shit. That's the type of that's how bad I am with technology and shit. I thought I saved it. So where do I find favorites at? Okay, since I'm kind of slow with this, does anybody know how to find their favorites on TikTok? Okay, I done went home. Profile. Let me see. I just watched this video like a few minutes ago. Okay, here we go. I got you. All right, y'all. This is the I'm gonna just play the audio. I ain't gonna play the whole thing.
And now you have people in Africa saying that they're the real people of Israel.
Hold on, let me start this over.
Here we are, I'm speaking with Caucasian Jewish people, and now you have people in Africa saying that they're the real people of Israel. It can't be ruled out at all. I'd like to bring up a few specific examples, because they're going to be game changers. Deep into Africa, and if you look now, you're seeing people who are most likely descendants of those slaves who kept true. One of them wrote letters to Israel when it became a state. And they said, we're Israelites out in Africa. And everyone laughed at them and they said, African Israelites, these people are just trying to jump on the first world country bandwagon. They're living in a third world country, they got nothing. We're coming to Israel, we got innovation, technology. So they're trying to get on this train because there's such a thing called the right of return. All descendants of the Jewish people from around the world were able to move to Israel. So they said we are also. People took it serious and went out there and started studying them. And a professor from Duke University went out there and did DNA testing on them. These gentlemen, a large percent of them, have the Y chromosome to be Kohanim, to be priests. Now, if anyone who doesn't know, a priest is a specific family clan of the nation of Israel who come from Aaron, the brother of Moses, who was the first priest. And anyone descended from Aaron has the status title priest. And we found that these men in this village in South Africa called Lemba, L-E-M-B-A, carry this genetic marker to let us know that they share the same as from the Sephardic and the Ashkenaz and the population of the people in Israel. They share the same exact DNA marker. It's mind-blowing. So everyone kind of got humbled a little bit, who laughed at them and said, now what? Now what do we do about this? This could have tremendous implications. Another area in Africa you have something big happening is in Nigeria. You have the Igbo people. There's 40 million of them. Also Christians. Like I spoke about before, how that could happen to the children of Israel very easily. But also a lot of them are now coming out and converting back or adopting the rules of the Torah without all the paganism that they've been practicing for hundreds of years. And where it gets interesting is, in America, there was a slave trade. And a lot of the slaves, a very high percentage of them, came from Western Nigerian ports. And in America today, you see a very large movement of African Americans who say that they're the real chosen people, that they're the children of Israel, they're the Judeans. You know, so are they just trying to create an identity for themselves because they were slaves, or is there really something here? And the answer is most likely there is something there. And most
Kept it
likely,
real.
maybe that they were the original Israelites, or maybe that the Jewish people today who are white, Caucasian people came in a little bit later on.
What up, Brandon?
That some of the greatest sages of the transmission of the Torah were converts from Rome. So here we are, I'm speaking, we're Caucasian Jewish people. And now you have people in Africa saying that they're the real people of Israel. It can't be ruled out at all. We know they were sold into slavery. We know now that they're fulfilling prophecies by saying, we're coming back.
That's some powerful shit, man. That's some powerful shit. That is some powerful shit, man. That is some powerful shit. I'm just saying. Let's take in some of the things that he just said. So, religious-wise, do you know how bad that would look on the United States or America as a whole if we find out that the worst atrocities in this country have been done to God's chosen people by their religion? You know how crazy that would be? That would be crazy. Which a lot of people said this stuff a long time ago. But, it was common not to listen to this. This isn't knowledge. This ain't knowledge we had. Every couple years, man, you find some kind of new breakthrough in history or in science or just social economics or anything. Just you find some kind of new breakthrough that changes the way we look at the past. And a lot of it uncovers stuff from the past that we didn't think existed in the past. So that would be very, very, very interesting, because the shift of power would change almost overnight. That would make black people of certain tribes, of certain DNA, of certain families, that would make them divine bloodline or royal blood, I guess. I wonder what they would have to do then. Because it would be beyond reparations. Reparations would be for all the hard work and the death and the stuff that we went through those years. That would be what reparations would be for. But what if you find out that Jesus's grandkids, that y'all done enslaved them and did them bad by prophecy, and people start to want to discuss these things out loud and opinions start coming out. You see how crazy they're looking at the Kyrie Josiah situation. The Brooklyn Nets look completely crazy right now. Like they are overreacting to the extent that they want to brainwash this man into believing something different than what he believes. And the craziest thing is he didn't make this movie. They running Kyrie through the mud like he made that movie. He just shared it. He didn't even say go watch it. He just shared it. And they got him suspended indefinitely. Like indefinitely. And some of the terms of him being reinstated to the team is that is that he got to go through these people and talk to these people and change his perspective on the topic. And that's how they going to rule out that he's ready to play basketball again. Kyrie signed up to be a basketball player. This shit is way out of control. Yeah, that's another big thing. They ain't saying nothing to Bezos. The movie plays on. You can order and purchase the movie right now on Amazon. It's called Hebrews to Negroes. Like, I got to watch it. I haven't seen it. But I plan on watching it this week. Yeah, it's almost worth buying. I think it's almost the same as it is to buy it, so you might as well just buy it. But this movie really got these people shaking in their boots. This movie means a lot. It explains a lot. Apparently, I haven't heard of one person. They got to excuse me. I'm burping and all kind of stuff. I can't think of one person who I watched that said they seen the movie that felt it was anti-Semitic. Like a lot of this, like the stuff that they say in the from what I hear, and this is just from what I hear because I haven't seen it and I haven't researched it, but this is from what I hear, is that the part of the movie that they call anti-Semitic is a quote of a Jewish person. So if he's just quoting, supposedly you're not supposed to be able to say anything bad about Jewish people unless you're Jewish. That's kind of the way the anti-Semitism law works. So I don't understand how you can rule that anti-Semitic if he was quoting on you guys. If you say something, we should be able to repeat what you said, especially if we're quoting you by name, like all that. Like if all the information is there, the annotation is there, there should be no problem with somebody quoting you saying stuff about your own people. I'm just saying. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But it don't seem wrong to me. That's just my opinion. You know what I'm saying? But like I said, the whole anti-Semitic law thing is complicated. It's super complicated. And it's one of those things you can't just go off the definition that you might find in Webster's dictionary. You have to actually dig a little deeper. I watched one video. Dude got a total of 4 different definitions for anti-Semitism before he got to the final one. And that's some spooky shit. Like, that shit kind of spooky. It's like y'all set up for if we decide to not agree with something that y'all done did. Y'all set up to be protected under this jurisdiction or this law or whatever you may call it. That's crazy. And then you can just do whatever you want to do with me because you're mad. You can throw a motherfucking cultural temper tantrum for the whole world and get the whole world agreeing with this shit like you in the right. And I'm supposed to lose everything because you having a temper tantrum about something that somebody else made and they making money off this shit and I'm not. You take my money, but don't do nothing to them. Like, what part of the fucking game is that? I just don't get it. I don't get it. But it's a lot of stuff going on. They trying to cancel Dave Chappelle. He just did a Saturday Night Live. I think they call it a monologue. Yeah, he did a Saturday Night Live monologue. And they trying to cancel his monologue because he joked around about stuff dealing with Jewish people. But he said clearly at the beginning of the video that he is not anti-Semitic and that he has no issue with the Jewish community. But given that he joked about things that were other people's situations, he just made jokes about it. You know what I'm saying? Hey, man, he is so fucking hilarious, bro. That dude he's a magician with the comedy, bro. I don't understand how he does it. Like, isn't this just natural? You could tell, like, living in the house with Dave Chappelle would have to be the funniest shit ever. Like, because everything's an extreme joke, whether it's something serious or not. And he's good at making that shit funny. Even if that shit was dry, he'd be cracking a motherfucker up. Like, and he'd be giving you some jewels at the same time. If you pay attention, it's a message and all that shit that he's telling you. You know, he makes the problems of the world today hilarious. Hilarious. He makes the injustices that we go through hilarious. The unfair treatment of people in power, like, he talks about it all the time. And it's always funny. I ain't never heard Chappelle getting booed off the stage. Dude been killing crowds since he was 16, 15 years old. But I say that to say this. He made it clear that he doesn't have any problems or bad feelings towards the Jewish community. He mentioned that Kanye was his boy. He mentioned that when Kanye normally in trouble, he normally jumps out the window. But this time he was like, hold on, nigga, I'm gonna wait a little bit. That was fucking hilarious. You know, just because he's dealing with a stronger enemy. You know, he's like, man, I'm gonna buy some time. You know what I'm saying? He knew they was gonna say something about him, but given that the time that we in right now, he had to say something. And Kanye is his boy. Drink water, y'all. It's good for you. For real. And so guess what? I haven't had a cigarette since I said I'm not smoking cigarettes no more. So I need a round of applause. I need some love. You know what I'm saying? Actually, and to be honest, it ain't been as hard as I thought it was. And I done been through some shit, like some shit to where I would have smoked. By now, I would have smoked about 6 packs. For real. But mind over matter, man. Mind over matter. We got to be able to, if we can't discipline ourselves to do whatever we feel is necessary that we need to do, then we are very weak in the mind and we need some help. For real. Straight up. I appreciate it, Brandon. For real, for real. Yeah, I just had my mindset on it. Like, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not doing this anymore. I still, you know, and my tree, yeah, the tree ain't going. The tree is medicine. That's medication. You can't take my Tylenol away. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I might get into the edible side a little bit, but yeah, I got to have I got to have the medicine. That's that B12. Yeah. I got to have the medicine. But yeah, I've been doing good, man. And I feel good. I feel good. Like I was having like situation where I would wake up and have like mucus in my throat and stuff. Like I ain't been having them issues. Like, yeah, it's amazing. Really blessed, for real. But yeah, I thought that was crying about that Jewish guy getting on there saying that stuff, man. He dropped some jewels. And he was trying not to. He just couldn't. He couldn't. How he gonna stop from telling you on the truth? He had, I mean, he spoke the truth. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, man, the room need to be set up, man. I ain't gonna lie, it's gonna be a little longer than what I wanted it to be. This room is way fucking bigger than the other room, and then like I gotta get like new tables, new everything. I got all the equipment, but I gotta get a new table and some different chairs. But I had this motherfucker set up. It'll be set up soon. I don't want to rush it. Sorry, excuse me. Yeah, I got that. We got that event on the 27th coming up, so I've been really putting a lot of, you know what I'm saying, time and investment into that, which is gonna be crazy. The Big 8 birthday bash is gonna be off the chain. Oh yeah, Brandon. While you in here, did you get a chance to check on that Blueface getting arrested anymore? What's up, boy? King Sick in the building. What's up, boy? Yeah, Brandon, did you get a chance to check into that about Blueface getting arrested? They said it's from an incident that happened on October 8th. So this ain't nothing new. They said that either some what the fuck they say? They said it was either some canned gas or a firearm discharge. I don't know if it actually said canned gas or whatever it said into the paperwork that they seen online, but supposedly it's discharge. He discharged something. I don't know what the fuck Blueface on. But shouts out to Blueface, man. I hope y'all get that figured out. That's crazy. That dude stay going through some shit. I don't understand. I do not understand. But it's all good. Whatever makes him happy, you feel me? Whack 100 said Chris, I don't even know how to say her name. Her name is like a combination of Chris and Shine. So I don't know, Chris Shine. But you said complex the article. Racist and Zion. What part you talking about, Sick? You talking about with the Jews? What you talking about? Yeah, Blueface tripping. I don't understand why these cats get all this money and decide to do the dumbest shit on the planet. Yeah, I think a lot of that's coming to the light. Sick. I think it is. People starting to understand it a little better and starting to see the light a little bit. And of course, there's still a lot of information that they could be, turned on to and enlightened by to give people a different sense of self. But at the same time, I think the situations that just happen are going to make more people pay attention to this shit. And in the midst of paying attention to this shit, you might find out a lot about yourself. Because, like we discussed, like it was dark-skinned people here before they brought the Africans over here. So, I don't know. We'll see. But it's the crazy thing is how crazy the world is going to go. Because, everything that they've done has been against that shit. And you know what? That's a very interesting concept, Sick. That is a very interesting concept. You want all the smoke. Yes, you do, my friend. Yes, you do. I'm not mad at you either. I'm not mad at you. Now, when I get to where me, myself, and I can articulate why I feel like that, I can agree with that. But I need to do more research myself. You know what I'm saying? This is the installation of Marxism. So why do you say that? This is the installation of Marxism. Matter of fact, you supposed to be doing a whole bunch of typing. I can just bring you on. What's up? You down to come on? Cause sick, I know you supposed to type a whole encyclopedia in this motherfucker. What's up? You trying to come on? Yeah, because you talking about Marxism again. I'm trying to bring you on. What's up? You trying to get on? Because, yeah, I know you got a lot to say. You want the smoke. I need that. I'm going to learn something in this shit. I ain't tripping. What's wrong with my computer? Oh, man, I'm finna send you the link. Nah, I don't know now. Nah. You want all the smoke, sir. We're going to provide you that. Yeah, ain't no running after you say that. Ain't no running after that, homie. Let me see. Yeah, I just heard this man say he want all the smoke, right? So if he run, y'all know what time it is. Y'all know what time it is. Hey, you say you still think Hitler was a stranger thing? That might be an interesting concept too. That might be an interesting. I don't know. Like I said, on that, I got to do some more research. I ain't even gonna cap. I wouldn't even lie to you. Like, I know what the hell I'm talking about. And some of it I do remember, but I would need to refresh myself before I just dove into that conversation. You feel what I'm saying? And sick, we already did the ritual, bro. So yeah, you can put it in the air when you want to. Or you ain't got to. It don't matter. I sent you the link though. This is finna get spicy. He picks hell of a days to come in. You need to come in on them crazy days. You feel me? Yeah. Excuse me. So Brandon, why do you think Hitler was a stranger thing? Quote unquote. Oh yeah, hey sick. Stranger Things is it's the code word for the real strong. I mean, even though we've been letting it fly, I really don't. I ain't gonna lie. At this point, it's like so. Everybody talking about it right now, so I can talk about it too. Shit, yeah, they talking. Man, I don't know what I just did. I think I smoked. Oh, so that was green apple and purple rain I was smoking. Good Lord. He didn't look like the Hitler used and they were. I thought Hitler was older. You said Hitler was boy band looking? I don't know about that, dog. We got to pull that up. Let's see if I can pull that up. Try. Boom, 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 boom. I don't be trying to get my channel shut down with all this spooky shit. Y'all trying to get a nigga shit shut off. Let me see. But I mean, you can't really look at somebody and tell if they are or not. Because you got different kinds. Y'all can see too much. Who was Rabbi? What? Sick, what you just did? Oh yeah, you crazy with the name flip. Oh, he crazy with the name flip. Did y'all see? Y'all see this motherfucker with the name flip?
Yeah, that was one of my names on Clubhouse. I had quite a few thousand. I had quite a few thousand followers under the name and moniker Rabbi
Oh,
Jesus Muhammad. And you'd be surprised how many people actually would come into the rooms and would have these conversations and intelligent debates with me. And then when they couldn't defeat me intellectually, they would then, their final straw would be, your name doesn't even make sense. You're a rabbi and Jesus and Muhammad. And I was like, yeah, nigga, I'm gaslighting. I'm trolling.
yeah, like you got to know that.
The name is a whole troll.
Yeah, super troll. Let me see. I got
But I think it's a really classic troll, Rabbi Jesus Muhammad. It's original.
It's funny as hell. It kind of grabbed me when I first read it. I'm like, what the hell?
Now the
So
funny
look,
part about it
Brent.
is there are people who are still looking for Rabbi Jesus Muhammad on Clubhouse right now because they think that's my name.
Oh man, that's crazy. Yeah, he really don't look like he in no boy band, bro. What you?
Now you got to go find some of the younger pictures of him when he actually fought in the Austrian army, because a lot of people don't know how. Again, Hitler was not even Austrian. He wasn't even German. Hitler was not quote unquote German. But again, we have to understand the history of Germany. We're talking about an area that I could ask people. I ask people all the time when they start talking about Hitler. People think they know Hitler. They don't know shit about Hitler. I thought I knew Hitler until I read about 27 books on this motherfucker. After reading about 4 or 5, my brain was completely blown. And the next 20 or so books that I took down, I got all those books specifically from non-Jewish authors. There's a difference. But there are Jewish scholars who've actually in the history told the truth um, about exactly who Hitler was. Hitler, when you actually go back and you listen to the story of the National Socialist Party, because again, does everybody here know that they never called themselves Nazis? Do people know that Hitler, none of his, they never called themselves Nazis? Do we know that?
Nah, I wasn't aware of that. I thought that was I thought that was a name that they give. Is that kind of like is that like calling them nigga?
It was a name created by a Jew. It's much like when the Anglos and the other races of people say ancient Egypt. Well, that's a misnomer. There never was a place called ancient Egypt. It was ancient Kemet. But nobody in Kemet called themselves Egyptian because Egyptian comes from the word Egyptus, which is a European word. Now, why would Al-Qaeda African people, Kemetic people, be calling themselves by the name of a European? Again, we find this with the Moors. We got brothers out here now, God bless them. They think being a Moor is an important thing, not realizing that a Moor is not a name that was given from among a people. It was a name given to a people. Through history, we can go back and read the history of Moors, and we can find that they describe themselves as Moors. And additionally, there is no Moor without Islam, because it's the Islamization of East Africa that give you what we call modern day ideology and concept of the Moors. But we got to understand this whole Nazi thing. People think they know Hitler, but they have no idea that he never called himself a Nazi. So when they use it as a derogatory term, and also when you see these fools in America, these degenerate ass white boys that we spent time in prison with, shout out to the good white folks, but it was some degenerate ass white boys we was in there with in many cases. They was meth heads, dope heads, they was just using that That shit that was a front, that was a cover. A lot of them dudes was gay, they were snitches, they wasn't even nothing that any quote unquote true real Aryan would even represent. Bottom
Facts.
line is that those boys call themselves Nazis. So if you're calling yourself a Nazi and you think the swastika is a symbol of hate and Zeke Heil is a salute of racism, you are completely uneducated. You have been educated by the people who won the war. You know, the winner of the war gets to write the story.
Facts.
And so when you look and see, go look at Winston Churchill's government and tell me whether or not more Jews in Winston Churchill's cabinet than in the history of Great Britain at that time. Go look at FDR's cabinet in America. Guaranteed you will see more Jews in FDR's cabinet than had ever been in the history of the United States of America at that point until a nice far way into the future. Again, people don't know this is the reason why Nixon ass got about that White House. You know, they had the Nixon tapes. But what y'all may not know is Nixon was talking to the famous minister Billy Graham one time and was telling Billy Graham on recorded line, man, we gotta watch out for the Jews. We got 2 Jews over there. We gotta get somebody to watch them. He said, one thing about them, they are fiercely disloyal. You get 3 or 4 Jews together, you can guarantee they're not gonna be pushing your agenda, they're gonna be pushing their agenda.
Yeah, straight up.
You see, and this is not anti-Semitism, it's not racism, it's a fact. You know, and I've got facts on top of facts on top of facts on top of facts on top. I mean, I literally have damn near wanted to just go put on an SS German uniform and draw a little Hitler mustache on my face, and then go out and set me a table in the booth up and tell me how racist Hitler was. Because another great
boy,
story,
they gonna try to crucify you out there. Fuck that,
but
bro.
That lets you. But here's the thing, though. Does that say something about me or society?
Yeah, it say something about society, but the conclusion is what we don't want. You need to take you
Absolutely.
back.
Well, I mean, that's why we talk about it, and I haven't done it. You know, I believe the youngsters say that's cap.
Yeah, straight up.
I'm capping.
You need at least 50 niggas with you. They got all be military trained.
You feel me?
It's going down.
No, everybody there got a felony.
He said
a 20-year-old felony too. You can't have
Ashkenazi Jews, Austria. I guess, is that what Hitler was?
Hitler was Austrian, and he had Jewish foreparents. Yes, he had a Jewish foreparent. Yes.
So is that what an Ashkenazi is?
Ashkenazi is Yiddish for German.
Oh. Okay. Yeah, I was gonna say I don't know what none of that shit is. I'm just keeping it 100. Yeah,
That's what makes you such a great host. Because not only do you get educated, also does your audience, and so everybody gets to appreciate it.
That's why I was like, man, I'm supposed to bring you up. We're not supposed to do this because I know you're gonna type it. Brandon already going crazy in the chat. He said, okay, look at Netflix or Hulu. See how many shows are about World War II. Are mostly about Hitler.
That's why I never blew up on Facebook, because I done typed some of the best responses back to motherfuckers. I'd be like, man, these people ain't worth all this shit. And I delete the shit and keep going. I'd be like, fuck them.
And I ain't gonna lie, a lot of the times they don't even read it. They just be spewing just hate speech. Fuck you and all kind of stupid shit. Like, why can't we just have a conversation, motherfucker? Why you gotta do all that?
Here's why we can't have a conversation, Big 8. We can't have a conversation about much anything because we're not educated. You put a bunch of uneducated people in the room, or people with different levels of education, grossly unequal levels of education. And this is the reason why they tell you in American culture, I don't know about other countries, but in American culture, they say there's a few things that you should never talk about with strangers. Even sometimes with family. What do they say? Religion, politics, and something else.
Gender, probably now.
Right.
Shit.
Right.
Yeah.
And so the reason why, because these things are polarizing. I just was reading an old article, doing some research for my book, and I seen an old blog that had a link to an article that says Harden and Westbrook demand trade because Houston owner is a Trump supporter. You see, and so they have made Trump synonymous with racism, which is completely untrue. I'm not here to stand up for the man's character. You know what I'm saying? He ain't my partner. But I'm gonna tell you what, of all the politicians I've known in my life, Donald Trump, I think, has been the singular most inspiring politician I've known in my lifetime.
Okay. So, granted that you say that, and I got you, Brandon. I'm gonna run your comment just a second. So, granted that you say that, do you remember when me and you were having this conversation about Trump a long time ago, like in the beginning, and you were completely against it at that time?
Absolutely. I didn't know what I knew about Hitler at that time, so you could make anybody a racist because I didn't understand racism. It was the way they
You
brand.
did understand racism then.
No, I didn't. I didn't understand racism. I thought I did. I thought I did.
Break that down for me, because if you don't understand it and I thought you understood it, I need to know what you understand.
No, I didn't understand it. I thought yes, you're right. You're right. I understood it. Now I overstand it. Not only do I understand race, I know it to a level that I can teach it. And that's not being arrogant. That's just being factual. Okay, first we have a Pope's edict called the line of demarcation, which essentially is the Catholic Church, which says to this side Spain, to this side Portugal. Stop. The wealthiest slave merchant in America was a man named Aaron Lopez, who was from Portugal. He was a Jew. Last name Lopez. Right. In many cases, you can kind of look at the names historically and deduce, in many instances, who was Jewish,
where they come from,
and who was not Jewish. Well, because again, they'll take on biblical names. While his last name was Lopez, his first name was Aaron. Right. Their names will be Aaron, or Malachi, or David, or Paul. There's going to be one of those biblical names that you recognize. Right.
Got you.
And so these are what you call Sephardim Jews, not Ashkenazis, Yiddish for German, not Khazarian, which is north of the Caucasus Mountains near Georgia, modern day Russia, right? We're talking about the Sephardim Jews of this period of time in history, which intersect with the Moors, the Catholic Church, the conquistadors, the invention of what we call now the gun, all of these things. And so during what you call the Crusades, which were, of course, there were many, but the 1492 Crusade is famous for being the one where the quote-unquote Moors were expelled from what they call the Iberian Peninsula. Today we call it Spain. And these people, now known as Berbers of North Africa, were pushed out of Spain into modern-day Morocco, Tunisia, Egypt, etc. Right? And so when we understand the history of like how these Sephardim Jews of Portugal and in Spain. So you had a very eclectic group of people. They weren't like phenotypically the European that we would imagine coming from Spain or coming from Portugal. Not to say that this person was Negroid at all, Aaron Lopez. He was very much of a more Caucasoid stock now. But the point is that when the line of demarcation was created, Spain was to have one side and colonize it. Portugal was to have another side and colonize it. This is why you find both Portuguese and Spanish-speaking countries in many of the same areas in Latin America. Additionally, when they created those lines at that time in the world, there weren't but a few races that you could get into. Maybe a horse race. You might get into a camel race in the desert. Maybe even a foot race in Africa. Or a boat race. And so we talk about what was the race. The race was to develop the new world. When you look at what Europe is and what they call us the West. Well, look back at the East. That's a whole block. From Africa, you'd be surprised how close Spain is to Africa. It's like 33 miles apart. And we have this connotation of European. And we think white. African, we think black. But yet there's only like 33 miles of water in between the two in the Mediterranean. And so when you really start looking at the difference of culture, that's why when you look at North Africa, their culture is not nearly as black as it is in sub-Saharan Africa, but also when you look at Southern Europe, it is not as white as you would find in Northern Europe because of this thing called the Mediterranean, which was essentially the I-40. I'm going to use an Oklahoma term. It was the I-40 or the I-35 of the world at that time. This is the reason why Napoleon was such a pivotal leader and commander, which in my research, I have not found anybody who could even hold Napoleon's motherfucking boots. Ever. Ever. In the history of this general. Being a general? Yeah, they can't fuck with Napoleon. Can't even come close. Why? Not to get off subject too far, but the reason why is because Napoleon is very famous for his field marshals. You can take Napoleon. Napoleon could have got knocked off in battle. And he has so many dope ass, it's like, coming from the streets and, he got weak sets and strong set.
Yeah.
Napoleon had a strong set. You couldn't just knock off they big dog and, the rest of these niggas is pups.
Yeah, they still fighting.
Nah, they got some pits over there.
Yeah.
And not only was they some pits, they were brilliant, man. They had this flank tactic that they used quite a lot, man. They destroyed a lot of people. I'm one of those people who've actually nerded out on historical wars where they got like these really cool battle channels. One's generals and battles, and there's quite a few. And you can actually go online, pick a war, and they'll break the whole shit down so you get you some popcorn, smoke your blunt.
Man.
And you'll be able to really understand how these battles actually happened, get inside the minds of the generals, what was the strategy. I mean, there's a lot of amazing things that you'll learn when you actually see how people have fought and bled and died for each little fucking border in many cases across this world. You'll probably stop sitting on your ass and thinking somebody owe you something.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying? So
yeah.
But back to the Sephardim Jewry and this thing called race. When we say racism, ism means to maintain the prevailing order. So what's race? Race is the line of demarcation which separates the sea for both colonial powers to do their thing. Again, England wasn't involved in this because they'd already been excommunicated and created the Church of England because of King Henry VIII. He wanted all that, he wanted a son. So Anne Boleyn, bitch, get your ass in the Tower of London. Let me get Catherine of Aragon. No, this old dried up bitch can't give me no baby. Let me give me another one. And so King Henry VIII is the reason why English are no longer Catholic, because people have to understand London was actually an outpost of the Holy Roman Empire. So the London city of today was actually an outpost. It was a part of the Roman Empire before it fell. And because it was so far to the west, it actually survived, and they were able to rebuild society there. The people that they call the Britons, Britons, not to be confused with the Britons of today, Britains. But the point is with this thing called racism and what we don't understand that racism is maintaining the prevailing order of splitting the sea in half, letting these colonizers go at it. You can do whatever you want to these African people. They're heathens. They're not Christian. They're not from Christendom. And in many cases, on the Catholic side, they were slow to convert people. But conversely, on the Christian side, they would be very quick to convert people. To the Protestant side, I guess I should say. Right, so the point is that when you get to the New World, North, South America, and the Caribbeans, and you establish this global economy here, because before slavery, there was no such thing as a system of capitalism before slavery. Who is that who you gonna capitalize on? Before slavery, there was a thing called mercantilism. Mercantile, this means trade or being a merchant, which is the story that you hear of the Europeans were looking for the Silk Road to get from China, the spices from India. That's because what they're saying in history when they're telling you the story of the European trying to get to China and Asia, what they are saying is that they were trying to expand their reach of mercantilism, right? Because they wasn't fit to go capitalize on shit. You had to come with something to get something.
Hey, you know what's funny?
Go ahead.
Like it's a video game that I play on PlayStation. It's called Civilization Revolution. And like I've played them since the first one. But I got the new one. And like that mercantilism. That is one of the governments that you can govern your country on.
And that's right, because if you actually historically go back chronologically and you are honest, and I'm sure these video game companies got a lot to lose by doing some historical inaccuracy bullshit. You get talked to Twitter, get your ass in about 5 tweets.
Yeah, because this shit got like great leaders. Like it got your Cleopatras, your Julius Caesars, your Abraham Lincolns, your George Washingtons, your what's the dude's name? K.O. Kyle. Is that his name?
Kato Kyle?
Like he's one of the great leaders from like Japan or something.
Oh, Kyoto.
Yeah, it's probably Kyoto. I don't, man. I'm telling you, I
I
haven't
think that's
played
where
it in a minute, but it got
that's where
like
they named the base after. That all the missiles that the American military has that we have pointed at China from the South China Sea. This is the reason why Japan and China don't really fuck with each other, is because, like basically, your neighbor let me put my guns and point them at your house. So you and your
yeah,
neighbor
real
probably
shit.
not cool. You know what I'm saying?
Facts.
And so that's
Facts.
Kyoto is actually the location that I believe many of those armaments are still located at. But let me finish the point on racism. So Catholic Pope, line of demarcation, jump in the boat, develop the new world. Once it's done, and by 1860, whites in America had taken under their control about what they call 96% of the wealth in America and land and territories. So they had physical control of America. And so racism, think about the word ism, gangsterism. Man, what was y'all on, man? We was on that gangsterism. We didn't become ungangster. We didn't stop the gangster. Gangster continues to go on in perpetuity. That's what ism does to a word. When you throw ism on it, it throws whatever that noun is or that verb is, it throws it into perpetuity. There appears to be no end to it. It appears to be applicable across the scope of this timeline, right? So racism means to maintain the prevailing order of race. Well, what's the order of race? We didn't come here black. If you read the ship's manifesto, we came here as the different nations of Africa that we came from. Just like the Europeans, they came from Scotland, England. We came from Mauritania and whatever the states were. In many of those cases, in some places they just put Ethiopia because they like to look at the continent as being Ethiopia before it became popularized to call it Africa. Ethiopia meaning Ethi meaning burnt, Opia meaning face, burnt face. So, but nobody was listed as being quote unquote black or white. Okay, and so we didn't come here with a race. So once they got here, 1696, you had this thing called Bacon's Rebellion. Post Bacon's Rebellion basically was Europeans and Africans fighting together because of the conditions, much like an incarcerated group of people who might riot over the conditions in the prison. It's all the races that come together and agree we gonna all riot together. And that's basically what Bacon's Rebellion was. It was all of the different levels of slaves, the indentured servants, whites, all the way down to your chattel slave blacks. And so they all fought together over those conditions.
Kind of like the Civil War.
Kind of like a civil war, but it was called Bacon's Rebellion. And this essentially caused the British Crown they had to sit down and do some thinking and said, okay, we ain't gonna just be able to brutally treat these people like this. So how are we gonna be able to make these people go for this system? And they implemented a tactic we've heard a lot of. It's called divide and conquer. And so they began to liberate, and what's the word for it? 17-year-old kids try to do it so they're not governed by their parents. What's that called again?
Emancipate.
Thank you. And so they emancipated these indentured servant whites, and then they essentially created in 1705 and 1710 Maryland and Virginia, they created these things called black codes, slave codes, thereby codifying and codifying race as a caste and class system in America. And so racism is maintaining the prevailing order of whites by 1860, getting 90 some odd % of all the wealth. Racism is locking that shit in, right? Baking it in. And to be a racist against a person who works on your dentals is called what? A dentist. A person who plays the piano is called what? A pianist. And so the IST suffix means basically that you are a
People in
practitioner of
practice.
something. Right. You're a practitioner of something.
Yeah.
Right. Or a professional of something. You partake in something. And so to be a racist under this particular construct we live in here, it would mean somebody who is a practitioner of maintaining the prevailing order of the maldistribution of wealth and resources in America, i.e. the anti-blackness and the codifying of slavery and anti-blackness that allowed it to happen. So saying all that, we were talking about Trump and how I too was, Trump racist.
or at least giving credence to it. Because I never was just fully on with the whole Trump is racist. You can scroll back my shit. I ain't never just jumped out the car and was like, Trump is racist. I just, because so many people was coming against him, people that at that time I respected their intellect. Because it's, bro, I probably got, you know me, I keep 30, 40 books at a time that I'm actively reading all at the same time. These are 30, 40 books on the same subject for the most part.
That boy got information on tap.
Yeah, man. So I haven't really taken the time to do my research. And again, this is a problem that we have in America where people speak about things to which they have no knowledge. They have emotions, plenty of feelings. And this goes to your question about why we can't have a conversation. You cannot put people to have a conversation when they don't have any information. The only thing that can happen is a confrontation because you have a feeling, he has a feeling, those feelings don't agree. So now the only thing that can happen is I can insult you, you can insult me, and we can go back and forth and trade insults with one another because we don't have any information to share. We don't got no dates, no names, no books, no sources, no links, no videos, no documentaries, no theses.
But sometimes even when you do, people out of emotions just want to disagree because that's just because of the way they feel.
Oh, sure. I mean, their emotions have overridden logic, and that happens a lot. You could be in a relationship with a woman and she could see a name pop up in your phone and it could be like, hey, how you doing, handsome? Nigga, who's that addressing you on your phone? This is my auntie. She just got a new phone.
Yeah, I don't know about them type of problems.
How's my handsome nephew doing? Happened to me literally. On the car driving to Dallas one day. Girl got
boy, a motherfucker better not be worried about who's on my phone ever.
Yeah, but this was back in my previous career.
Oh, okay.
Any woman that was texting my phone, they had to be putting something in the bank account. Now if they was contributing, if they was making deposits, then mine was gonna look the other way and probably say, let's go stop at the bank. Let me go spend some of that money since you're getting to enjoy some time. Let me go enjoy the dime. So, but anyway, I have, redeemed myself of my former street activities. I am a reformed criminal, and I'm not fucking ashamed to admit it. But the point is with this thing called racism. So when I say I didn't understand racism, I didn't understand how all of those things historically all played a part in creating this thing that today, you could be racist to Mexicans. Hold the fuck up. We can't fucking be racist to no Mexicans. There's not an American in America that's racist to a Mexican in Mexico. It ain't fucking possible. That's called nationalism. Again, there's an ism. What's the order that we're maintaining? Bitch, we got a border, you got one. This our shit, that's y'all shit. We don't share bullets with you niggas. Hey, Mexico, yeah, we ran out of bullets, man. We finna go over here. Yeah, I mean, in some form of allied relationship, possibly. But the point is that we got a border for a reason, or it ain't a fucking country. You see? But if a white person like Tucker Carlson or Donald Trump says that, he's a racist and white supremacist. So when I began to look at because I'm a very conservative person, I come from a military family, was born on Fort Sill. As much as I've been out there in the streets rough and tumble, I can honestly say my mama wasn't on crack and my daddy wasn't a pimp or a drug dealer. These niggas worked for the federal government. They was in the military post office. They was black people, got their ass up and went to work, went to church. They tried to teach me the right thing, and I still ended up in niggas, what's up, blood? But that's definitely not necessarily the path that they had chosen for me. I chose that on my own, right? And so the bottom line is because I come from that kind of background, like I respect borders. I've had to watch my family members go to war and go fight. So I respect them borders. I respect you got your nation and we got this one here. And I have to caution myself when I say we, understanding the position of Black American in America, because America has never really been for me. Right?
Facts.
But at the same time, I still built it. Maybe not me personally, but people who I am blood related to and I descend from, they built this shit. And they still haven't gotten their just due. And I'm not one of those people that's going to run off to Jamaica or Kenya to go try to make something work over there. Because when you owe my people forever over my dead body. So I'm gonna get my America out of America. But at the same time, I am appreciative of what we do get. Like, I was a criminal. I sold drugs and pimped and gangbanged, shot at people, slapped motherfuckers, did all type of crazy shit. And they had a place. They sat down. They went over the evidence. Some of the shit they was lying. Some of the shit I was lying. I got some jail time. It wasn't easy, but goddamn it, I got out that motherfucker and I made the right decisions, and here we are. Like a lot of countries don't offer you them fucking opportunities. I hate to say that, but most of us motherfuckers, I was gangbanging and selling drugs. We was knocking on the door to the jail. Hey, what's up? Y'all full in there? Okay, I'll be back tomorrow.
Hey, look, and in other countries, we'd have got our arms and legs cut off and shit.
Come on, man. You didn't want to go in there and your judge be a motherfucker named Shah anything. Shah Khomeini will see you for your sentence now.
Hey, so you familiar with this? Adolf Hitler, 1938, being the person of the year in Time magazine?
He was the Time magazine person of the year. Do you know why he won person of the year? Probably not.
No.
Right? It was because the thing that Hitler did that so offended the Jews was the fact that when you understand the parallel of the creation of the money system here in America called the Federal Reserve, you'll know that the players involved were largely Jewish. Kuhn Loeb, the London faction of the Rothschild family, the Warburgs. One of the Warburgs was actually in FDR's cabinet as well as one of the Warburgs was in London and worked in the cabinet there. So you literally had brothers who were representing two different nations' interests as lobbyists and parts of those cabinets that were negotiating. It was just like a blood in London and a blood in America, and we doing what's best for the Bloods, not England and not America.
Yeah,
that's what happened with the small hats with the Jews. And so the reason why Hitler became person of the year was because in 1933 he kicked the goddamn bankers out the country. He was like, y'all get y'all scandalous ass up out of here and take this raggedy ass money with you too, because the dollar, the Deutsche in Germany at that time was just so ridiculously inflated that you literally had to take a wheelbarrow to go get a loaf of bread, and by the time you got there, you didn't have enough money. And so you can only imagine if these gas prices was $12. You think they'd be in the street at 12, or would it be 9? What about 15? I mean, how much can the American people can your gas? Would it be 27 a gallon? I'm pretty sure about 27 a gallon. We're gonna see how much firepower these white folk around here got. They're gonna be coming out, goddamn, get the goddamn tank out. We're goddamn commies trying to take over America.
Dropping all kind of shit.
Man, you gonna be like, goddamn, where do white people get all this shit from?
Hey man, hey, Dave Chappelle said some funny shit in his SNL stand-up. He said, you see how well Ukraine did against Russia? He was like, nigga, Ukraine pretty much kicked Russia's ass, nigga. They don't want no parts of us.
It's the exact same thing that they say about Hitler. The reason why, we're going to get back to that other question, right? But I want to deal with this, what Dave Chappelle said, because Dave Chappelle's a jackass. I lost a lot of respect for Dave Chappelle with that last skit. And the only reason
come on, man.
No. Now wait till I explain this to you. See, people don't know what's going on in Ukraine right now. Right now, Vladimir Putin in Ukraine is doing Americans like me and you a motherfucking favor. He is benefiting us. He's benefiting us. Go on Google some damn Putin speeches and put the translate on and listen to that shit. I think I said that the last time I was on your podcast, didn't I?
Mm-mm.
Because if you go back and you listen to Putin's speeches, Putin is going to talk about the same things that YouTubers like you talk about. The elites and the Illuminati and the Rothschilds and these banking. I mean, if people don't see that the bankers have been on both sides of every war since the Revolutionary War, French Revolutionary War, this is what Hitler talked about in his book, Mein Kampf. He talked about that. And so these Jews sought to plunge the world into debt and to create this system that we have today called fiat currency. That's why we're dealing with inflation right now. But if you also go look at the wealthiest people in the world, damn near all the billionaires got more billions. Kanye with his comments would be probably one of the first billionaires to lose any money since 2020. Motherfuckers who got it get more. That's what happens in times of crisis. Right? So there's a lot of uncertainty. People are willing to dump assets, whole asset classes. I saw fucking Hertz. Fucking Hertz was less than $1 a share. Hertz, now. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, we start looking at this thing about what's going on in Ukraine. Ukraine is, again, the ancestral home of all of the Russian people, because Kiev was a part of Russia. Ukraine is a created state, right? And we could also talk about the Ukrainian massacres that happened in Ukraine, where they
Ain't
sought
that
to,
like somewhere like they separated from USSR or some shit like that?
yes, yes, yes. But the origin of, when you talk about Russian people, you are talking, the origin of those people is they are Rus, R-U-S. The S-I-A-N is a suffix. The root word here is the Rus people. And their actual name of these people is Kievian Rus. Kievian Rus, meaning Kiev is a central city, an ancestral city, damn near a holy city to the Rus people or Russian people. And when you actually look and see this thing called the Bolshevik Revolution, because if anybody has not studied the Bolshevik Revolution, you don't know, with all due respect, you don't know shit about Russia. Just sit down somewhere and stop talking. Because I listen to people do it every day. People have no idea what the Bolshevik Revolution is. They don't even know who the fuck the Bolsheviks were.
Yeah, I don't know shit about Russia, to keep it 100.
Yeah, I mean, and most people don't. That's why they use Russian disinformation as a strategy and a tell. That's Russian disinformation. The Russians in Russia, or nigga, how about all these billionaire Russians we got in America? I could have sworn Kamala Harris took one to the goddamn White House. Douglas Emhoff, a Russian Jew. So which Russians are we talking about? The ones in America or the ones in Russia?
Oh, shit.
You see? And so even when the USSR fell, 60% of all the wealth of Russia left Russia. And guess where it came? To the West. Because that's where it started at. When they had the Bolshevik Revolution in 1917, World War I was going on. Go back and study and see all of the massacres. I mean, white, Anglo-European, and now dig this now. I'm not a person who's running around here having tears for white people getting genocided. My people been getting genocided, and a lot of white people ain't gave a fuck, respectfully. So you just can't bring me to tears. I can't just see poor white people in West Virginia and I start feeling sorry for their ass, because to me, you better move to a big city with more white people and rub some of that goddamn white privilege off on some shit.
Boy, because it's out there. Like, and you know, you meet a lot of white people that say that they don't have access to it, but they don't even understand how they do have access to it. They just don't utilize the access to it.
It just means they're white and not intelligent. It means that you as a black person is intelligent enough to understand what they got that you know what I mean? Like we've seen it in an athlete, like, man, that boy can jump and run, but I think I'm gonna go and, be a golfer. Boy, you run a 4.240, you got a 46-inch vertical. You better get your ass out there on this football field or this basketball court. But there are people who have things that they don't realize that they got, right? So, but that's the important thing to understand in this whole conversation about Russia is go Google the Bolshevik Revolution, go to your local library, rent you some books on it, check you some books out for free about the Bolshevik Revolution. Because what you'll find is that the Bolshevik Revolution was just the Jewish Revolution. That Bolshevik word just gets people fucked up. If they just call it the Jewish Revolution. Because that's what it was. The leaders of it, Trotsky Jewish, Lenin was Jewish, Marx was Jewish, everybody was Jewish. Stalin was Jewish. They was Jewish.
Is that the same Marx where Marxism come from?
Absolutely.
Okay. I'm starting to tie it all together.
And so what happened in...
It's a lot of information to take in, though.
It is.
And your ass is fast, too.
Right. And luckily, you got somebody like me who, you know what I'm saying? I don't got to Google nothing. This is all off the top of my head because I've read these books. I've reread these books. And I'm writing a book right now with much of the information that I'm sharing in it. Because when I get on social media, sometimes it just, if I wasn't such a strong person, bro, I would cry all day when I got on social media. Because what I see on social media is the ignorance of not just black people, but the ignorance of the American society. We are the most propagandized people in the world.
Hey, can you see the comments? I popped Brandon's last comment on the screen. I missed him when he was talking about how he's talked about more than
money laundering. Yeah. Yep. It is. Well, Ukraine has long been a criminal enterprise. It's long been a criminal. It's been, again,
it's like Russia side.
Ukraine been for sale. Ukraine is for sale. And it's again, when you understand what the whole, I hate to go back to the Bolshevik Revolution 105 years ago, but it's important Because when you understand what the Bolshevik Revolution was, they went into the factories, into the facilities that were, the learned men. It was the lawyers and the doctors and the teachers and the professors. Those were the ones that they pulled out, shot them in the head, and killed them.
Yeah.
Massacred them people. And so what they sought to do was to destroy what you call the intelligentsia. We've been in the gang, and we know there are people who are from the set who are just, goddamn it, they're more critical than some other people on the set. You know what I'm saying? And so the bottom line is that when certain critical pieces might get took off your set, shit, you might start you might want to take that lock in the sock with you outside the cell.
Yeah, it might not be as secure as it was before.
Yeah, it might, you know what I'm saying? And props to brothers like you. You know what I mean? Like, I wasn't no pushover type dude, but when I'm on the yard with cats like you, and I'm associated with people like you, and you associated with people like me, I'm known for not taking no shit. You known for not taking no shit. People not gonna just pull up on us with some shit.
Facts.
But when
they gonna think about that shit.
Right, but when we leave, it might be some little homies that's doing shit that we was checking, that nobody's checking it no more. And now when they do those things like stealing phones, cell thieving, shit that OG niggas don't condone, there's nobody there that, you know what I'm saying? When I've been on the yard and you've been on the yard, they gonna come holler at you. They ain't finna just go mollywop no blood, because, oh man, we can't do that. Big ain't over here. Big ain't finna go for that.
None of it.
Right, so
if he need to get got, we'll get him. Yeah, you back the fuck up.
They gonna be in your cell for 30 minutes negotiating on how they go. Yeah, so you ain't finna get the homie like that. Yeah, he just got off work. You finna let him get some sleep, and he finna get some. You know what I'm saying? You finna set the terms.
Straight up.
But the homie finna have to go in there and face that heat though.
Yeah, he gonna have to handle his business
for sure. And so that's the type of society that exists in places like Ukraine, where there ain't no big apes, there ain't no King Six, there ain't nobody of any real authority. It ain't nobody with any real respect. And so people do what they want to do over in Ukraine because Ukraine has been destabilized. And it's, they've got so many facilities there with poisons and experiment. Just look at what happened with this Wuhan lab in China. They say this is where the whole goddamn pandemic started from. Well, if that's true, which I, have some reservations, but I largely believe it to be true, then what the hell is Ukraine? Ukraine would appear to be Wuhan times 1,000 without the stability of a Chinese Communist Party. Like, we could think the Chinese wanted to do some shit on purpose, but like some accidental shit, even though accidental shit happens. So we're talking about Ukraine, which is far more destabilized, far more inconsistent, and far less a secure and autocratic government than you need to have some goddamn experimental chemicals that could kill the fucking planet. I don't think Ukraine is probably the safest place for that shit to be. Yeah. And so I think when people really understand the Putin's relationship to these Jews is very similar to the things that Hitler was saying about the bankers and the corporate people in corporations, those corporate folks. A lot of people don't know that this is what he is fighting against. And he also did the exact same thing that Hitler did before World War II, which is back to the Man of the Year thing. The reason why he became Man of the Year is because he took a country that 1918 got out of World War I and had to pay reparations for the whole war, and it was not even Germany's war. It was not their war. And so they got in to do a solid, right? That's like me jumping in some shit for you. Here I am going to jail and you going on a date with your girl. I'm not going to be too happy about that, right?
Yeah, that's crazy.
Right? So this is what happened to Germany. And so Germany was left holding the bag. And there are prominent Jews, I could go, find some for you, who actually talked about what they needed to do in order to destroy Germany. It was Jews in America that wrote books that said Germany must die. Way before any Auschwitz or them talking about some Jews being killed in some gas chambers. It was Jews writing books about how to destroy Germany. And so they did. They plunged and collapsed the economy with the inflation, like I said before, about the barrel of money to buy a loaf of bread. And so what Hitler said is, okay, look, get your ass up out of the country.
Now, do you know, now, can you quote any of those books? Like, not necessarily quote, but what are the titles of some of these books, just in case people want to look them up?
No doubt. I'm going to give them to you after I say my next little thing. I'm out.
Okay, got you.
And so the point is that he created his own mark and he created his own currency. Again, what's wrong with our society is we have a banking system and a financial system that allows the people who are in these banks, they get to print their own money. They get to just go print money. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, what the fuck? And so this causes hyperinflation. And so while we're holding these inflated ass dollars, you see these wealthy people moving into asset classes. One I'll give you guys on this call right now is, if you have not looked at natural gas, and I'm sure some of your audience is in Oklahoma, while not all of it might not be, but if you are in a place that's natural gas rich, you might want to start looking about getting into the industry. And if you're somebody got a couple of dollars to invest now in natural gas. Invest now. That shit's gonna blow up. It's gonna blow up. Because it's the least combustible, least toxic fossil fuel that we have. And this whole thing about EVs, we think we're gonna move to an electric vehicle. I guarantee you, nobody on this call right now can pick up an electric vehicle battery by themselves.
I mean, you know, I'm an exceptional human being, man, you know.
Okay, so 600 pounds of copper, 300 pounds of lead, 200 pounds of like lithium.
You
like
see me?
These things weigh a car.
You see me, look.
I feel you.
I've been in Planet Fitness.
Your ass will be in the emergency room with a bandage around your forehead talking about,
nigga back will be no good, never again.
Trying to pick up one of them batteries. And so
he said Muammar Gaddafi was ousted because of shift and fuck the Fed.
Well, he got fucked for the same thing that Hitler did. Muammar Gaddafi tried to do what Putin did, which Putin affixed his ruble to the gold standard, which we haven't been on in since Woodrow Wilson made it illegal for Americans to actually own gold bars. It was illegal to own gold in America during that time. That the bankers were in this plot to take over the financial thing in the world, and so
they had to get enough of it before it's accessible to other people.
Exactly. And so when you actually understand, there's a book by a man, G. Edward Griffin, called The Creatures from Jekyll Island. The Creatures from Jekyll Island. He also wrote another book that's relevant called The Communist Revolution in America. It has some very specific chapters that talks about how Bolshevikism, communism, and Marxism came to America and created sort of this black Marxist movement in America that swept up even the Black Panthers for a time. They were Marxists, although towards the end they moved away from the Marxism, but they established themselves under Marxist and socialist pretenses. So, when you actually start looking at where this Marxism and socialism comes from, G. Edward Griffin is a great source to get that information.
For sure. Yeah, Brandon was like, Sick knows what I'm knowing, pretty much saying y'all on the same page.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that's why I said Brandon real well read too. It's gonna be a lot of stuff that y'all probably know y'all shit and I don't. But I learn fast though, and it's nothing for me to put pieces together. Like when you start talking about Marxism, I can put him with our last conversation, the stuff that we learned about Marxism in that conversation and apply it to what the idea will be for this one. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. Because it all applies because, again, when you really look at what the ADL is doing, I just did a video on my story on Facebook today to really explain the ADL and showed the book about the lynching of Leo Frank, where
you cut out. Hello? You cut out a little bit ago, bro.
So I said that when you actually look at sort of this establishment of damn it, I kind of forgot what I was saying when I got cut off. But I was saying about the money that Muammar Gaddafi had created was similar to what Hitler had did, in the fact that he was trying to take all the resources in Africa, which is a lot, and affix them to a dinar. And so what would have happened is when countries came to get the resources, the natural resources of Africa, which is damn near everything that we got, bauxite, copper, coltan, that's in the phone that I'm using, and other resources besides diamonds and gold, iron, ore, steel, all these things. So in order for other countries to come to Africa, they would have to buy in African currency. Well, guess what happens in global trade when other countries have to trade in your currency? It causes the value of your currency to rise.
Facts.
Devaluing other currencies.
Or devalue, yeah.
Right, and so this was the impetus for war. So this is where you get the whole Hillary Clinton Benghazi, the email server that they still never came with, but they want to go and raid, and they want to go raid Donald Trump's mansion, Mar-a-Lago, right in the middle of election season. Come on, man. You know what I'm saying? Y'all still ain't got to the bottom of Hillary Clinton's emails, and that was national security on the line. But because Barack Obama was in office and he was a black president, if it would have been a white, Bush could have never went to Africa and did what he did. He could have never went to the Middle East and did what he did. They did that under the guise of Obama being black.
It's crazy. Hey, what's up, man? We got 7 people up in the chat. If you haven't hit the like button, please hit the like button for us. We covering a lot of different stuff tonight. This is one of them late night vibes we ain't had in a while, to where we might start with this thing and end up way on a whole nother side. But it's cool though, because it's a lot of information that can be taken in and applied to questions that people might have. You know what I'm saying? Shouts out to King Sick for joining the live stream. You know what I'm saying? And then shit, we can get back into it.
No doubt. I'm getting back, spin a setup and turn my camera on in a second. Just give me a second.
So dig this with the Trump thing, right? Pretty much what he's going to court for is for saying that they tried to rig the election. Am I right?
Yes.
So it's illegal to accuse somebody of rigging them?
No, the Democrats do it all the time. Stacey Abrams said it in 2018. Gillum said it in 2018. The Democrats say this all the time.
So what I'm saying is, why is they making this a case for him? This is like a legal. Is it federal?
It's no different than that January 6th committee. It's a sham trial, a sham criminal case, because what it does is it keeps the conversation going about Donald Trump and potential charges, which is designed to, weaken his influence in his party, because, certain people might move away from somebody like a Donald Trump because you could be perceived to be bad for business, right? So, there's that.
Dig that.
But as far as this whole thing with Trump is concerned, what people need to pay attention to is is it equal? Don't get at Trump if you ain't gonna get at Hillary Clinton. And don't get at Trump if you're not gonna get at Hunter Biden. And his laptop, they revealed a whole lot of state secrets and shit that he's doing.
Yeah, that's what ain't that Biden's son?
Yes, that's Biden's son.
Yeah, that's what Brandon just said. He said his son is a fraudster and a concern for national security.
Yeah, I mean, there's a guy named
crazy.
Patrick Ho. There's a guy named Patrick Ho. He is a Chinese spy, and he for years was known as being somebody who was trying to get access to American military.
You choppy, bro. You like super choppy.
In 2013, Obama sent Biden to China to essentially have a meeting with China to, warn China about their activities in trying to monopolize the world's resources, i.e. Africa, right? And so instead of them going over there and actually saying, hey, China, you need to stop doing this, Biden went over there and his son ended up getting involved. He had a company called Burisma, Rosemont Seneca, and others that he essentially became partners with people within the Communist Chinese Party. And not only that, people and businesses that if you go to their website, you will see that they actually manufacture products for Chinese military defense. So, for us to have the president's son involved in business negotiations and business deals with people like that, not only that, he got some preferential deals as far as his $1 billion business deal was concerned with Burisma, that even some of the best investment banks in the history of the world have never gotten the type of exceptions that Hunter Biden got with no experience in these industries. And so it was obvious the fact, and he was even interviewed and asked about it. He said, do you think you'd been, and this was about his dealings in Ukraine. Again, here we are back to Ukraine. And we're talking about his business dealings in Ukraine. And he said, do you think that you would have been paid $1 million a year to be on the board for this Ukrainian company if your last name wasn't Biden? And he had to admit, probably not. So
wow.
The bottom line is that I've even seen a video online that appears to be Joe Biden butt naked, whipping a girl with a belt.
This nigga can barely stand up. How he's swinging the belt?
Hey man, look. I'll tell you something.
Said that Niagara do it to him, but
Tell you something, man. Listen here. So we've got an absolutely corrupt group of people in the White House right now, and the fact of the matter is that because we are in a situation where we have somebody in the White House who is doing business deals with America's enemies. With at the very least with our competition from a perspective of capitalism. This is our competition. And so for us to be engaged in business deals with these people, and for the president's son and first of all, why was Hunter Biden with you anyway? He was on an official state visit in 2013. Okay, he went. Okay, cool. But why is it while he's there, he's getting into business deals with people in the Chinese government when y'all was supposed to be there to put the foot down and say, hey, stop trying to monopolize the world's resources and upset the market and the value of some of these commodities so that investors all over the world are having to feel the brunt of it. You know what I'm saying? And that's exactly not what they did when they got there. They went in there and they
went in there on some Shark Tank shit.
Yeah, they went in there on some, let me get to the bag. So that's what that was.
If that ain't a nigga move for you.
Yeah, I mean, that's basically what the move was in Ukraine that the Biden family put down. And it's all facts. It's on paper. There's a guy that's got a book.
So there's no laws against that type of shit?
Hell yeah, there's laws against it.
Ain't nobody. Why ain't nobody pursuing this shit?
Well, first thing we gotta do is we gotta ask who runs the FBI. Who runs the FBI? Didn't Trump get into it with the FBI director? A lot of people don't know that the boy that got killed in Georgia by the name of Kendrick Johnson. I'm not sure if you remember that, but that's the black kid that got rolled up in the mattress at the school and was like his
okay, I remember what you're talking about.
He had newspaper inside his body with some, organ harvesting, some really weird shit. And the young boy, the white boy that went to school with him, it was alleged that this black kid was supposed to have slept with his girlfriend. He got mad and went to get revenge and ended up going with one of his buddies and ended up killing his kid. And the white boy was a pretty strong kid. He actually had a scholarship to go play football at the University of Florida. So he wasn't no punk, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there's that. And then when you actually look at the fact that this kid's father was connected to the Georgia Bureau of Investigation, the state FBI, it was a bit, kind of concerning, made you scratch your head. But however, Florida rescinded his scholarship. So there had to be some sort of a mitigated loss to it, or potential that they thought that he might actually be prosecuted, that they dropped him. They ain't even give the kid a scholarship. But there's a dude, this guy wrote this book here I got called Secret Empires. And Peter Schweitzer has a documentary.
Yeah, that's the one you showed on the last live stream, right?
Right. Yeah. Peter Schweitzer, he's a writer for the New York Times, and he has a documentary called Riding the Dragon. Go to your YouTube search bar and enter in Riding the Dragon. Everything that I'm telling you about Burisma, Rosemont Seneca, the $1 million a year he was getting from Ukraine, and the $1 billion deal he did with the man who was arrested and convicted, Patrick Ho, as a Chinese spy, who Hunter Biden, the president's son, is in a business relationship with still to this day.
You said Dragon what?
Riding the Dragon.
The film?
Yep, it should be a little dragon image. I think it's about an hour or so long. Let me go get my laptop charger so I can.
Hold on, I got the video, sure. Right there.
Hold on, I walk to the kitchen and walk back a second. Let me see.
Oh, it's on Tubi? He said it's on Tubi for free.
Yeah, that's it right there. It's on YouTube for free. They charging for the shit now?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's on YouTube. But ain't no telling with the people at YouTube, man. They mess around and took it off YouTube. Like, boy. Let's see here. Man.
Yeah, it's on Tubi TV for free too.
I'm pretty sure that thing is on YouTube, bro. I'm pretty sure that thing is on YouTube. That's where I see it at all the time. Is on YouTube.
I'll check for it on YouTube. I got it in my search engine now. But yeah, I'm gonna search that thing and go check it out.
Yeah, man. So let's see here. Okay, my computer's reloading. But yeah, this dude, he wrote this book, Secret Empires. And it's the subtitle is How the American Political Class Hides Corruption and Enriches Family and Friends. And so I challenge people to a challenge. And the challenge is, how many news reporters, national news reporters, are not, NOT, are not intelligence operatives? I say that more than half of all the people who work in the mainstream media are actually people who are under some direction from the intelligence community, whether they know it or not. Because, for example, you remember Brad Edwards, Channel 4 News?
Like a motherfucker.
All right. Now, what was Brad Edwards known for? Remember that In Your Corner?
In Your Corner. Brad in Your Corner.
Now, what was Brad Edwards doing on In Your Corner? Remember, he used to go undercover.
Going to see where people do people wrong with businesses, all kind of shit. Brad was on the ship.
One of my favorite ones Brad Edwards had was he had one where they went into a mechanic shop. I forget where. I think it was on the north side, on like Penn or something, 122nd and Penn, somewhere in that area. But they were scamming the shit out of people. And this was during the time when like 122nd and Penn, like, you know, back in the 90s when it just turned into like, that was like the new hood. That was the new east side. So it was a whole bunch of black people over there getting scammed. So people would take their car in for an oil change, and then boom, be like $700 bill. Like, yeah, you had some pipes and some, you know, you're a savant working on these cars. So if I let you get under the hood of my car and you wanted to make some money, you could go up under there and make some money, eh? You know what I mean? Sabotage some shit, pull some shit, you know.
Seen it many times.
This is
especially with smokers.
And this is exactly what they were doing. Is they were going in and they were destroying people's cars and then charging them for it. Brad Edwards caught them. Do you remember what happened to Brad Edwards?
I mean, I ain't really heard much about him since I've been to the pen.
Let me go back and let me go look and see Brad Edwards right quick one time for the one time. Because
yeah, Brad in the corner get your shit right, boy.
Yeah, if I remember, Brad Edwards just mysteriously died.
It's not funny that he died. The fact that he mysteriously died after helping all them people. Yeah, he was helping bust people and everything. Yeah, he was on his shit.
Yeah, let me see.
Boy, if you got a problem with your baby mama and you trying to go to child support court and you can't get in, call Brad in your corner. God damn it, Brad pulling up on your ass.
Look, legendary consumer reporter Brad Edwards was the founder of In Your Corner segment. Edwards died unexpectedly in 2006. How did Brad Edwards die?
Damn, 2006? So what was they playing, reruns or something? Fuck?
Oh, mysterious. Okay, look, see, he was born in Pennsylvania. Was a news reporter, though which he mostly represented the city's elderly and working class, making him one of the area's most influential and well-known media personalities. Let me say this again. His investigative journalism, through which he mostly represented the city's elderly and working class. See, black elderly and working class made him one of the area's most influential, well-known personalities, right? So
he was helping niggas too much.
Not only that, see, what I've learned is
man, you letting all these niggas get on the news and shit.
Well, I could write a whole book about the death of the investigative reporter. Again, how do we know about the crack cocaine CIA scandal? How do we know about that? We know about that because of, just like Brad Edwards in your corner,
a brave white man who was an investigative journalist.
Mm.
We know about it because of a man named Gary Webb.
So
Guess
he was
what,
kind of
Gary?
like on some Brad shit, but just on a higher scale.
Yeah, man. See, Gary Webb became a legend in the world of investigative journalism because of this website that his newspaper, the San Jose Mercury News, came out with called Dark Alliance. This is the first news article in the world that was put online for the readers to keep up with the story. The first one in the history of the goddamn gone computer age was the story that revealed how the government sold us crack. Now, sir, I need you to understand, we could not have people out here telling the niggas the truth.
Yeah, for real. Not in multitude. Too many
And
niggas know that at one time. It might be an uproar.
Well, not only that, we got to understand, the benefits that, the society got from the crack cocaine drug distribution. While we might have made money in the streets selling dope, they made a whole lot of money building in prisons.
Facts.
You feel me? Them phone calls wasn't cheap either.
You see what Brandon said on the screen? Do you believe in Project Veritas?
Oh yeah, I rock with Project Veritas, but and they're banned from Twitter, so they have to create their own platform. Yeah, I think what's that dude? Yeah, I think Project Veritas again is one thing I've learned since I've gone back and really studied racism, and I've studied race, and I've studied slavery, and I've studied World War I, World War II, the Civil War. I begin to realize that, again, I'm not here to cape for white folks, but I am here to say that to some degree, historically, whites have gotten a bit of a bad rap. Why do I say that? Well, the second in command of the Confederacy and the brains behind the Confederacy, the most white supremacist army that's ever been on these shores, was run by Judah Benjamin, a Jew. The wealthiest merchant in slavery, Aaron Lopez, a Jew. You see, Hollywood, a place that in 2018, I believe, the same Will Smith that slapped the shit out of Chris Rock, him and his wife, Jada Pinkett, had a whole hashtag campaign called Oscars So White. Remember that? Oscars So White, when they boycotted the Oscars.
Yeah, but that's before he won. That's when he lost. Yeah,
right.
Before the slap. Got you.
And so if you actually go to the Oscars and see who runs the Oscars, it's a Jew. When you go back and look and see who the 5 men who founded Hollywood are, it's a Jew.
So just because they complected a certain way, we've been calling them white folks, but a lot of these people actually being of a different community than just Europeans.
Two good historical examples that really, kind of changed my perception of Anglo white people. Example number one is this movie called Birth of a Nation, right? Well, Birth of a Nation was really based off of situation number one, which was Leo Frank, the one that I talked about last time, and I did my story on Facebook today. For anybody who follows me on Facebook at King Sick, you'll see the story where I broke down the reason why the ADL was created. The ADL wasn't created because some Jewish guy got beat up by some people that was wrong, and they called him all kind of disrespectful names and painted a swastika on it. None of that. It was because a Jewish man of very high status, he was an Ivy League graduate from a wealthy family. He was charged and convicted with child rape. Full stop. The IDL is an organization that is about the defamation of Jewish people, that says that, we're here to protect Jews. But what about the little girl, Mary Fagan? Who's protecting her? The little poor white girl from Atlanta.
The rape victim.
The rape victim. You see, you can't be a group of people who are always talking about how you're the victim, but we're not going to talk about the 13-year-old girl that was raped and brutally murdered at work, picking up her check by Leo Frank. And the fact that there were a couple of black men who could have been the stooges to take the fall. And in many cases, many reports historically say that up to $40,000 was given to the black man in order that Jim Conyers would actually take the rap for Leo Frank. It didn't work. 20 women got on the stand and said, hell no, it wasn't a black dude. It was Leo Frank. He grabbed me on my breast. He did this to me. He did 20 girls, not women, girls. So now imagine a courtroom full of Anglo whites. Boy, one thing we do know about these white folk, they ain't too keen on you messing with the women's. Huh?
It can get real.
Especially It's one thing to be dating the daughter of a racist, but it's another thing to be forcing yourself upon said individual. You can still get killed if she like you. I love him, Dad, but I love him, Daddy. We still killing that nigga. Don't do it, Daddy. You'll still get killed. She can love you and profess. I'll never love anybody else, Daddy. Yes, you will. Kill that nigga. That's a very plausible scenario, right? And this is if you was nice, a gentleman, and everything else. So you can only imagine how these whites would have dealt with somebody who actually did harm their women. And again, most
like
of those
on some Emmett Till shit.
Exactly. Didn't even do anything to the woman.
Didn't do nothing. Yeah,
Still
that's
got
fucked
killed.
up.
Right. So the fact of the matter is to think that in this America that white Anglos would overlook a black man to blame a white Jew when white Jews had much the same social status and position as did white people in this country at that time. I mean, many of the wealthy slave owners in America was Jewish. The oldest Reformed synagogue in America, KKBH Beth Haleim in Charleston, South Carolina, was built by slaves, a synagogue, for God's sake.
Yeah.
So, yes, you participated in slavery. Yes, the Jews benefited from slavery. Yes, the history tells us this story. And if somebody says it out loud, they'll call you anti-Semitic. Doesn't matter if you're right or you're wrong. And so the bottom line is that when I went back and I began to look at this instance, I then realized that this happened in 1913, April 26 of 1913. Mary Fagan is raped and killed. 1915, the appeal comes back. He gets life sentence. The Anglo whites wasn't with it. They still lynched him. Right? The ADL is created because they say this was an injustice to a Jew. And so here's the book that I got about it, called The Unspeakable Crime. But they're not talking about the rape. They're not talking about the rape of the little girl. They're talking about the conviction of the rapist, the pedophile. So the Anti-Defamation League's history, unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, is not anti-Semitic for me to say it. The history of the ADL is in defending a man who was charged and convicted of raping and murdering a 13-year-old child. Full stop. I think y'all might not need to be worried about what Kyrie is tweeting. Y'all might not need to be worried about what Kanye is saying. Y'all might want to go deal with the fact that you have an organization that was designed, it was built and instituted around a pedophile, murderer.
Yeah, that's deep.
You would think that the ADL was made about some, and little Jimmy Jones was walking down the street on his way to Jewish school with his yarmulke on, and some racist came out and called him names and beat him to death. And so we created, that ain't the story of the ADL.
Yeah. That should have been the story of the NAACP.
And the story of the NAACP is
we
that
know better than that, though.
Socialist Jews started the NAACP. Go Google Henry Moskovitz. And you tell me, was he a friend of black people? So, yeah, the ADL is a very precarious organization in the fact that they carry themselves as if they are, the fact, donate $500,000. They had Kyrie donate to the ADL. You are an organization built to protect pedophiles.
Well, it's hard to say that when listen, I'm not standing up for Jewish people by any means. I am straight across the board with this. But what I am saying is, okay, the founder, what you said dude was the founder, right?
Right.
The founder may have been what he was, but that don't mean all of the people are, though, right?
Oh, no. I'm not saying that. 87% of black people vote for Democrats. And so I think people who vote for Democrats are stupid. But I'm not going to say all 87% of the people are stupid. Some of them are misled and misguided. But many of our people who are voting for the same damn party are just stupid. It's hard to keep doing the same thing over and over and over again and expecting a different result. I believe they clinically call that insanity.
He said Irish hate the British both white. Then why did they hate one another? It was because they were white. He said.
The
Then he
British
said,
and no. He said the British and the Irish hated each other because they was white. The British and the Irish ain't white. They British and Irish. They ain't white till they get to America.
"Oh
Over
shit."
there, their fight wasn't over color. Their fight over there was over the church, because the Irish remained Catholic. What's the name of Notre Dame? What's they called? What's their mascot? Notre Dame. Fighting
Irish, yeah.
It's a Catholic school. It's the most reputable, well-known Catholic university, perhaps in the whole world.
Yeah.
But the British are Protestants. So they had a religious schism. Religions contain culture, traditions, beliefs, and certain things, And so that was the schism between the Irish Catholics and the British Protestants, because the Irish would make appeals to Rome because they essentially belong to the Vatican. They're a part of the Roman Church. But you right here next to England, though, that's a problem, right? And so when you got the greatest empire of colonizers and rapists and pillagers in Britain, you have to go back and understand that this was just the domination of the Anglo-Saxon Brits against those Celtic Irishmen. And it was the culture of the Celtics versus the culture of the Anglo-Saxons and Normans, because again, when we talk about Normans are the French people. That's where you get Normandy from. But France is actually short for Frankfurt, which is where the German people come from. But Germany comes out of another place that used to exist that didn't exist until after 1815, when Napoleon went around the world conquering shit. There wasn't no Germany until after 1815, after Napoleon. So, yeah, there's that, right? So when you actually look at the beef between the Irish and the British, it wasn't about so much race and color. It was about the difference in culture between Celtics, Normans, Anglos, and Saxons,
And
as well as the religious differences.
Yeah. That's fucking crazy, B.
Yeah. I mean, we believe in a divorce. You don't believe in any divorce. Well, it's going to be kind of hard for us to be able to mix and do the whole marriage thing. We're not going to be able to assimilate together because, it's like you're a Muslim and I'm a Jew. Our stuff, our traditions ain't going to mesh. And so that was the real issue with them, because one group felt superior to the other. And the British definitely felt superior because their church, their religion was called the Church of England. The Irish, it wasn't no Pope in Ireland. They had to go to a whole other country to call a Pope. And so this caused, as you can imagine, the type of rifts and division that it caused. It was at least distinguishable enough to make Irish and British, and we don't fuck with each other.
And that's pretty much where it is today.
Well, no, there's actually a book by a Jew named Noel Ignatieff called How the Irish Became White. And a lot of people don't know this, but the Irish in Ireland get a lot of respect from me, is that the Irish in Ireland had a saying called "No slave ever set foot in Ireland." Because not only would they allow themselves to be enslaved, they were not a people who wanted or had the desire to enslave another people. Because the Irish were fighting to be seen as equal from the Protestant British, who had all the power. They had colonized all these nations, so they had raw materials, raw goods. They were able to, they were colonizing the shit out of Africa. They were getting raw goods from Africa, which was making their military better, their ships better, all these types of things that nations have to flex against each other to have supremacy or dominance over one another. And so the Brits had done all of the colonizing and brutalizing. Many people don't know that when you talk about the original Celts, you're talking about some of the last people to actually carry out some of the Eastern African spirituality in the world. A lot of people don't know that. And that was the Druids. But the point is that was really the schism between those two groups of people. But when they got to America, there is this thing called, How the Irish Became White, like I said before. And when you read this book, it talks about this man who was an activist in Ireland named James O'Connell. O'Connell wrote a letter, 60,000 people signed the letter. It was actually a black man, it was an abolitionist who rode a ship to Ireland to seek out O'Connell, found O'Connell. They, formed a bond. He said, look, I need you to help me out. I need you to talk to the Irish people of America. O'Connell said, whatever I could do. He says, I wrote a letter. If you like it, can you sign it and get some other people to sign it? 60,000 Irishmen, doctors, lawyers, merchants, farmers, businessmen, clergy, men of repute, signed this document saying to their brothers in America that we love you, you are our brothers in a newfound land. They showed all type of love and respect. They was like, hey, look, we just have one request. Do not side against the Negroes' enslavement. Do not be in favor of the Negroes' enslavement. It is against our morals, our culture, and our traditions. Don't do it. When they read the letter in a place called Tammany Hall, Freedom Hall in Boston, the place blew up in applause. So all of the Irish people in their heart saw themselves as a quote unquote oppressed group of people. So for Irish to directly involve themselves in oppression wasn't necessarily a natural instinct for them. Well, what happened? Well, after the meeting at Tammany Hall, the people who owned the newspapers and the people in positions of political power realized, hey, hold up now. And many of these people were Irish, who were wealthy elites. The wealthy elite Irish was like, hey, we ain't finna be mixing ourselves up with America's pariah. Then we'll become America's pariah because we as Irish in America have not been accepted as white yet. And so the Irish in Ireland didn't quite understand the racial dynamic that even Irish in America had to play, right? So there was that. And so eventually eventually Irish became white because when you look at many of those police departments on the East Coast in places like Boston, New York City, Philly, and other places in the East Coast, New Jersey, you'll go back and look and see who some of the original people who founded many of those precincts. You'll find McNally, McDonald, McLevrin, and these types of names, these Irish Celtic names, are the people who ran many of the police departments on the East Coast. Much like when it came to the unions, you had people like my boy.
Who were the fire departments supposed to hand it out to? Was that the Italians?
It was a mix of different European groups. In a lot of places, the people who, if it was an ethnically Irish area, they would have an Irish fire department. If this was an ethnically Italian area, they'd have an Italian fire department. Because there was some times where, you know, Italian communities would be on fire and the Irish police department, fire department, we ain't putting y'all shit out.
Oh, shit.
And vice versa. If you ever seen the movie by Gangs of New York with Leo
Gangs
DiCaprio,
of New York, yeah.
It has a lot of historical
jewels in it.
Jewels in it, you know, because it's not like a historically accurate story, but the story that this imaginary character is walking into, it would be like creating an imaginary character in your neighborhood right now, where the neighborhood is the neighborhood, just you created the character to tell a story. So
right.
what was happening in the peripheral to the movie Gangs of New York was largely very, very real.
That's
and if you remember, it was the bishop that was out there in the streets doing some of the most fighting, was the man with the cross in Gangs of New York. And so that goes to show you how a lot of those religious beefs, you know what I'm saying, got physical. But yeah, the Irish became white in America after the turn of the century, going into the early 1900s. And, you know, obviously after the emancipation of Black people in this country, Irish became fully accepted as white by, you know, the 19 teens. And by the time World War I broke out, Irishmen were considered to be whites in America.
And what year was the emancipation again?
1862, 3 it signed. The war doesn't end until 1865.
And then civil rights was 1940?
64.
64.
Well, the first Civil Rights Act was actually 1866. The Civil Rights Act of 1866 was actually the first Civil Rights Act, which was an act designed to give security to newly freed Black people, that we would be able to enter into contracts, because there was no guarantee that we could go into a contract. Somebody had to pay us. Yeah. So they had to actually establish the civil rights. Like, hey, I know we ain't been paying these niggas for 244 years, but here we got to lay down the law. Y'all ass got to pay. And so the 1866 Civil Rights Act still stands. There's quite a few Civil Rights Acts. 1866, 1867, I believe. So it's not just the 1964 Civil Rights Act.
That's just the most recent one.
Yes.
Got you. He said Jews be having their own cops, their own hospitals, own courts, and own markets.
Yes, they do.
Yeah, it is no question that they have conquered running their own economy and having their own systems. And the access to these systems would be limited like a motherfucker. If you ain't knowing somebody or in cahoots with somebody that's in cahoots with the family, you probably not doing no dealings.
I lied. 1968 was the last Civil Rights Act, and that was the
1960.
one. Yeah, that was the one that basically give you Section 8. So,
Oh,
yeah, there's the 1866 Civil Rights Act, 1871. This is one of the few times I'm actually having to look something up. The 1871 Civil Rights Act, the 1875 Civil Rights Act was to protect the rights of African American in public spaces. 1871 was referred to as the Enforcement Act, was aimed to protect African Americans from acts of racial violence. The first Civil Rights Act of 1866 was done in order to protect the newly emancipated class of former slaves. And so then we have the Civil Rights Act of 1957 was the first of the Civil Rights era. It was passed by Congress to create a Civil Rights Division within the Justice Department and protect the voting rights of minorities. 3 years later, the Civil Rights Act of 1960 further strengthened the government's power to protect voting rights. And in 64, the most sweeping and extensive of civil rights laws was passed. So,
what's
and
up,
you need
Tiff? I see you in the building.
and you need to know how many Jews were very much responsible for the civil rights movement. People have said that I was crazy because I've rebranded Martin Luther King with all due respect to a dead man. I often refer to him as Marxist Luther King
Huh.
because he was born Michael King. Did you know that?
Yeah, I was I think I had read that somewhere that his name wasn't Martin Luther King by birth.
Right. He was born Michael King. Funny thing is that the actual Martin Luther that he was named after, Martin Luther wrote a book. Guess what the title of Martin Luther's book was? Guess who was the subject? Guess who was the subject of Martin Luther's book?
Kennedy?
The name of the book was called The Jews and Their Lies.
Oh, wow.
Written by Martin Luther, the father of Lutheranism, and the man Martin Luther King was named after. Right. So it is a 65,000 word treatise written in 1543 by the German Reformation leader Martin Luther. Luther's attitude towards Jews took different turns during his lifetime. In his early period until 1537, not much earlier, he wanted to convert Jews to Lutheranism, which is basically Protestant Christianity. In his later period, he wrote on the Jews and their lies. He denounced them and urged their persecution. In the treatise, he argues that Jewish synagogues and schools be set on fire and that their prayer books destroyed, rabbis forbidden to preach, homes burned, and property and money confiscated. And
this is the original Martin Luther King. This isn't the one that we grown to know.
Yes, this is the original Martin Luther.
It
says in the treatise, Martin Luther describes Jews as a base, whoring people, that is, no people of God, and their boast of lineage, circumcision, and law must be accounted as filth. Luther wrote that they are full of the devil's faces, which they wallow in like swine, and the synagogue is an incorrigible whore and evil slut. Now, this might seem extreme to people. Like, why would you want to destroy the Jews? Well, first thing you got to do is you got to know about good old King Bulan. King Bulan is the person who converted the Jews to Judaism in the 9th century, in 800 and something, I forget, and or 700 or something. And so the thing is that when you really understand the faith and the belief system of the Khazars before they practice Judaism, they practice a penile worship. Now, penile worship sounds like exactly what you think it sounds like.
That's fucked up.
A penis.
These are worshipers.
Right. And so when they say a whoring people, again, we could even look here in America. Who do you think has proliferated pornography in America? Blacks, Anglo whites, or Jews?
Damn. It would have to be Jews.
You ever heard of a peep show before? I'm sure you have. Peep show?
Yeah.
Invented by a Jew named Robert Sturman. He owned over 15,000 of them in the United States of America.
That's crazy.
Go look
so
at
is this where the base is this where the base of being in control of entertainment and all that comes from? Or is that just one section of it?
Well, when you study the history of the Khazars and the quote-unquote Jews, particularly when you read the Talmud, if you have never read the Talmud, which is the quote-unquote holy book of the Jews, then you don't even know. You have no idea. You have no idea. But you are dealing with a group of people within their own holy book says that having sex with a 3-year-old girl is nothing. He says the virginity will come back to a 3-year-old little girl. So it's perfectly legal, according to Talmudic law, to have sex with a 3-year-old baby girl.
Yeah, that's fucked up.
Yes. It also says that they are able to rape their enemies at war. Some really sick, sadistic things are written into the Talmud. Ask
All right,
any
Tiff,
rabbi.
appreciate you coming through.
Ask any rabbi that you ever meet, and ask them and say, "Excuse me, Rabbi, in your teachings, how do you describe black people? What are some of the words used to describe black people in your holy scriptures?" And you know what they call us in the Holy Talmud? In the Talmud, we're beasts. Blacks are beasts. We're animals, literally. And we are also what's known as the
And the
Goyim.
Talmud is who read the Talmud? Jewish people?
The so-called Jews, the Ashkenazi and the Khazarian Jews, because again, the Talmud was written 6.5 centuries after the Torah was written. Right?
Gotcha.
The Torah, the Talmud is different from the Torah. The Torah, whether you believe it or not, I'm not a Christian, but the Torah and the Bible are sold to you as being divinely inspired, divinely prepared, right? And so these prophets were blessed with divine inspiration to write these works. Whereas the Talmud doesn't even make that claim. This is just a bunch of rabbis who essentially, damn near almost like modern day social media, go back and forth in the comments. Because if you read the Talmud isn't written like normal books. It is written in a sort of prose to where you might find 6 paragraphs shaped like an L, where you have these different commentaries that are happening in the text, right? And so might be 5 or 6 different well-respected rabbis, like Simeon ben Yochai is one that I have found to be almost the most well-respected rabbi of all time, Simeon ben Yochai. And Simeon ben Yochai didn't have anything good to say about African people. He was very much for the rape and the murder of children.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's fucking bananas.
Well, here's the thing. You know, when the Jews tell you the story of how they've been oppressed, they tell you that they've been kicked out of all these different countries. How do you get kicked out of all these different countries? The last time you kicked somebody out of your house or your car, why'd you kick them out?
They pissed me off.
They did some shit they weren't supposed to be doing.
Yeah. Yeah, don't take
Get the fuck out of here, boy. Right. And they did something fundamentally that you couldn't. It's one thing if I'm in your car and I like spill something in your car, like, oh shit. Knowing I done fucked up, but like, damn, you know I ain't trying to do it on purpose, homie. I might be clumsy, drunk, high, wasn't paying attention. You might be mad for a good 30 seconds. But at the end, you're going to realize, like, damn, anybody could have dropped it. It could have been me. Hell, I spilled some shit.
Didn't do it on purpose, yeah.
Didn't do it on. And you're going to understand my intent was not to have done it on purpose, right? But when you talk about the smart, how can we say it's not your intent when it's written in your goddamn book? What you doing?
Yeah, you done made it plain and clear. You done put it in transcript. Fuck a tablet.
And so this is, Marxism is one hand, Judaism is the other hand. Socialism is putting them together. There is no communism without Judaism. Not me saying it. You could go look at Rabbi Larry Wise. He also said it. So, yeah, man.
Which would make what you're saying not anti-Semitic.
Absolutely. Absolutely. There's another man by the name of Howard Rosenthal. Howard Rosenthal told the absolute truth about what the Jews did, what their goals were, what their aims were. Anybody who goes back and actually does any due diligence of the history, this is the amazing part, is we exist in a world where people just don't fucking like these. They just, y'all don't fuck with them. It's not y'all shit. It's not cool. It's not the shit to do to be running around fucking reading goddamn books. And so until you read the
That's
book,
where the knowledge is, though.
you're not gonna know. They call it a library for a reason, because that's where they bury the lies. Just saying.
It's spelled a little different. See, bars. That was bars. You definitely hit us with entendre on that one.
Shout out to KRS-One. So the thing is that I got that from KRS-One in 1988 before I really knew what it meant.
Yeah.
And KRS-One said on his album Edutainment, he said, "Take that pillow from your head and put a book in it."
I ain't gonna lie, I like this stuff, but some of this stuff be fluff.
Well, he's a metaphysicalist, which means he goes beyond the physical reality, which we can get into a whole lot of what I believe and what you believe, because we're dealing with something beyond the physical. But as long as we're dealing with the physical, we can agree on the color of this book. Even the Jew and the Muslim agree that it's Wednesday.
Yeah. Straight up.
So we gotta have
that's the type of shit I be on. That be the type of shit. Because see, I be having that metaphysical conversation with other people, and like, I'm not against it. I'm not saying what you're saying is wrong. What I'm saying is you can't fucking prove it.
Right. Metaphysics there are a few things that you can prove in metaphysics. One is, what's the name of your podcast?
Put It in Their Podcast.
All right, now I want you to say it again, but say it to yourself. All right. Did you say it yet? Because I didn't hear it. Who heard it?
Me.
Who heard? How'd you hear it? You didn't say nothing.
So yeah, that's the trick you just played on the nigga then. I mean, I said it in my head.
So you don't say with your mouth. You say with your mind.
Okay.
And so when you understand the fact that you can speak without speaking, is again, you have taken the spoken word metaphysical, because you didn't physically say the word, but you said it, but you didn't physically say it. That's metaphysical. That's a very basic element of metaphysical. You went into the metaphysics of just saying a word, right? And so we would consider that to be.
But wouldn't the physical part of it be the electrodes in my brain making me think about it? The thought, would that make it physical?
But I said say it.
Yeah. But I'm just saying. But even with me processing the thoughts in my head, that wouldn't make it physical.
Well, absolutely. It's still, but that goes to show you how metaphysical to be beyond physical, you have to use physicality to transcend beyond. Like to meditate, if you want to have a metaphysical experiment through meditation, then you're using something physical to transcend the physical. You don't get out to the metaverse by just jumping out there. You got to get on your physical computer to get on the metaverse. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, but like when they be talking metaphysical, like they be going, it be like, it gets spooky.
Oh, they get deep. I mean,
you just got to be in there.
People will get ridiculously deep. They'll say shit that, you know what I'm saying, you got to be on some acid or some mushrooms or something to understand.
Brandon, what you talking about? Oh, yeah, Shelby didn't come in. He said, what was it you saying it, or you, or maybe you? I know I said it, but it was in my head to where couldn't nobody hear it but me. But I'm thinking the fact that my brain, the electrodes in my brain would process the thought of me saying it without it coming out my mouth. I would think that would still be attached to physical. Because if I say metaphysical to the person I be talking to about this shit, what it would do is I'd be thinking a word in my head and you would say it, type shit. Right. She like super spooky.
Yeah, some people can go, they go a little bit too far.
Out of body experiences, which I understand. I'm not saying anybody's lying. I'm not saying nothing is too far-fetched and nobody's imagination is incredible. I didn't say any of those things. I said this could be a possibility for you, but you can't prove it to me, so I can't believe it. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's another one of them Jesus things where you just gotta have faith, and I ain't got it. It, dog. Gotta show me something. He said the brain, the only thing that names itself. So awesome to think about it. Right. Yeah, I get into my nerd shit, but I ain't gonna lie, man. Some of that should be spooky.
Well, again, but not let's get back to the Jews. Well, do you know what Kabbalism is? Right. So this is a really interesting point to Judaism is the Kabbalism, and there's a few different kinds of Kabbalism. There's Kabbalism with the C, there's Kabbalism with the K, and then there's the original Kabbalism with the Q. So, there's a lot to be discovered as far as this thing called Kabbalism is concerned and the Kabbalah is concerned. So, there's that. But we definitely got to get into that Kabbalah one day because that's a really interesting topic.
Well, look, if I stay on here any longer with you, I'm going to pee on myself.
Hey.
I got to pee like a Russian bull. Dig this, man. Why don't you start coming in? And, nigga, you are well accepted on the show whenever you want to pop up, man.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely,
the people love you. Shit, I love you to death. Hell, we be in there rocking. And there's never a time when we don't learn something from you.
Absolutely. I mean, that's my my greatest gift to humanity is the fact that I'm a person who is obsessed with information in a world where people don't have the time or the inspiration or the motivation to go get it. So it gives me a platform. You don't got to go read 37 books. You probably can read 2 that I'm going to recommend to you after I read the 37. But if you want to know the other 35 books, you're more than welcome to come, you know what I'm saying? But
straight up.
Come buy a couple of you motherfuckers.
Yeah, chilling with these bitches.
So yeah, so it's just that's what I live for. So shout out to Brandon and everybody else who was in the chat, chiming in and whatnot. I just actually shared it on my profile on YouTube. I wish I would have done that earlier.
But like if it's something like if it's a day after week, because I do vibes in 3 days after week. Sometimes late night vibes be just me pulling up, shooting the shit with the people about our days, and if you got something you want to interject and you want to have open dialogue about, just hit me.
Absolutely.
Come in. Yeah, I'll shoot you in here. We'll get it popping. I don't have to. That's the cool thing about having my own show. I don't have to conform it to nothing. It can be as loose as I want to, and we can go wherever we need to go. The most important thing that I stress to the people that watch my show is that we're going to have adult subjective conversation. It's not going to be you're wrong and I'm right, or and you're wrong and you're hateful. We don't do none of that. We talk like grown people. We reciprocate the information, take what we can feel out of it, and the rest it's on video.
That's most good podcasts, like Earn Your Leisure, even Joe Rogan and others.
I watch Joe Rogan.
Right, you can say what you want to, but every time I watch a Joe Rogan podcast, I learn some shit. The last time I seen a Joe Rogan podcast, they was talking about the rat wars in New York. Now, it maybe wasn't perhaps the most academic thing that I learned, but still, it was the world that we live in. So because
you talking about like the big rats in the gutters and all that shit,
right? Because of the restaurant closures in New York during 2020, even till to this day, the rats in New York, they shut down their supply of food. So the rats are literally at war with each other and are cannibalizing each other. And so he showed some videos of some rats, like, what I'm saying?
Getting loose.
Getting some death matches. They was looking like you in Tampa when you made dude run through the bushes.
Shut the fuck up. Crazy.
Anytime I can mention that, anytime I can bring that up.
Man, I wanted to kill that boy, man. Thank God I didn't get in touch with him.
Look, we're going to be old. I'll be bringing that up when we old.
That was some old Looney Tunes cartoon shit, for real.
Man, I don't think I have ever been that serious and laughing at the same time.
Man,
because it wasn't a joking matter, because I didn't know what to expect, what was next, you know what I'm saying? So I was on my, but I busted out laughing the way when he ran through the bushes, that's when I knew all the threat was gone. I was like, okay, put your guard there. They running through bushes and shit out here, like, but I'm like, okay, boom, this street right here goes that way. If we gotta leave, we gotta drive.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We gotta shoot a nigga. Which way we go? How we gonna get up out of here, right? And so I'm scoping and looking, and that's when I scanned and I see him just, you didn't even like raise a fist. You got maybe almost close enough to touch him. And boy,
I probably got about 3 feet from that nigga. It was a wrap.
When you got within touching zone, he didn't stop. He didn't even do like what's the name, Daddy and Friday. He didn't even say, "Hey, quit messing with these night people." That motherfucker was out.
The thing, little bro, had me dying about is all them niggas was turned up before the dudes got there. And it was like, once they seen my little switch flick, everybody was just kind of like, nigga, hold on, nigga, this shit all right. Fuck y'all doing? Y'all better join in, shit.
Yeah, they didn't realize it was a group activity.
Man, you hear me?
It was a group activity.
I mean, if I'm gonna go all the way. Y'all ain't finna get me caught slipping by some buster. No, I'm
but you're the type of person who's best served to have somebody like me around who could let me talk you out of two out of 5. Let me just talk you out about 30%, 40%. I'm gonna think I won. I'm gonna feel like I won if I can just,
Hey, and thank God for people like you I'll listen to on everything. Cause boy.
And thank God for people like you that I'll actually try to talk to, because it was a dude early today. Or matter of fact, that was last night. I was watching the Monday Night Football game at this little sports bar. And dude was in there going off on some guy at the bar. And I knew it was the dude, my partner B from Indiana, hanging out with him and shit. And I knew he knew the dude. So I was like, hey, man, you know what I'm saying? Dude is over here just in case it was, I don't know the relationship, you know what I'm saying? It could be tight. They could be tight like us. Imagine somebody didn't tell you they was jumping me in the corner like, bro, why you didn't tell me they were jumping my homeboy? And so I let him know I wasn't finna jump in, but I didn't know the dude like that. And I'm not a renter hitter either. So I told dude like, yo, man, your guys over there kind of having strong words with a dude. I'm pretty sure he got it, but you know what I'm saying? Everybody got a pistol out here, so just want motherfuckers to be safe, be thinking.
Thanks.
So he went over there and told, he's like, yeah, man, dude. I was like, all right, cool. I was like, say less. He was like, man, why? I like, say less. And then when we was leaving, he's like, man, I can't believe you trying. I was like, bro, and I explained it to him. I was like, bro, I don't know your relationship to dude, so I'm gonna give you the opportunity to tell me, you know what I'm saying? We with it or we ain't.
Oh, we ain't. Yeah, straight up. He should respect that more than anything.
Right. But
that's a nigga realness coming out.
No, this was him. He had been drinking. He was like, oh yeah, nigga, don't turn me up when I've been drinking. He was like, cause boy, 10 years ago, he just turned 38. He was like, boy, cause when I was 28, I'd have just got the molly whopping the dude he was talking to, and then would have asked the homie what they was getting into it for afterwards. I say, yeah, bro. I think we done all did that. I think we done all kind of grown up and matured out of that phase. But you know what I'm saying? But that's how we used to deal with shit, by going too far.
Facts. Sometimes it don't even be necessary. But good people done got killed by situations going too far, too fast, and didn't have to go there.
Just like the ADL and Kyrie Irving going too far.
Way too far. But listen, man, I love y'all. I appreciate y'all coming through. Put it in the air podcast. Late night vibes. It has been great as always. Don't forget the birthday bash, November 27th at Ziggy, Southwest 59th and Western. It's going all the way down. We got chicken wings, food truck coming out. Alley Cat Processing gonna be out there showing love. Pressure Boys Car Club coming out. It's gonna be an event. We got D-Lo performing, Pineapple Stroke performing, Jump the God, and myself performing. It's gonna be crazy. So make sure y'all tune in and tap into that. Appreciate you, King Sick, for coming through, showing love. Man, that boy's a walking encyclopedia. I don't care what nobody say.
Hey, man, 14 years, 3 months, and 9 days in that goddamn box. You better do something with that time, but the time gonna do you.
Boy, like a motherfucker. Good night to everybody, man. Catch y'all on the next one. Peace.
Yo, this big Rhino, owner of Ziggy's Mac. You know what I'm saying? Put it down for my boy, put it in the air podcast, always strong. Hey.
Hey, yo, what's up? Put it in the air podcast. Ziggy Smoke Shop. I'm really popping right there. Make sure y'all do it. Man, shout out to my boy Gay Gay and then Put It in the Air podcast, man. Shit's on fire. Smoke something, get some information, learn something about yourself.
Another EME production. My money cow, my money cow. My money talk, it ain't my fault. Look at my nigga just signing that gloss. I get in the game, ain't nothing gon' ball. Me and my dog, me and my dog. Pop few beans in a Percocet, now your girlfriend climbing on top of the wall. I'm a young star, I ain't talking about mob.